Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to a brand new series on the channel. What if I was reincarnated into the world of Naruto as the blind shinobi of the main branch Hyuga clan? Synopsis: he was a transmigrant from Earth and was born in the Hyuga branch family. To avoid being controlled by anyone, he willingly became blind. But with his blindness came his cheat, his way out of sorts and advantage during his new life as a shinobi. System of Fujitora. Make sure to check out and support the author linked in the description. Let the tale begin. Chapter 1. Nearly 3 years have elapsed since the Nine-Tails assault on Konoha. As the menacing clouds gathered above the horizon, gradually cloaking the once blue skies, Konoha found itself in the clutches of a relentless torrential downpour, the rhythmic sound of raindrops pounding against rooftops echoing throughout the village. In the Hyuga clan cemetery, a burial was taking place, and beside the freshly dug grave stood a young boy of 3 or 4 years with black hair, fair skin, and in a Japanese black dress for funeral. His visage remained placid, devoid of any discernible emotion, as he remained rooted to the spot like an unyielding statue. Ah, what a pitiable child! First, he lost his father on the night of the Nine-Tails attack, and now his mother was slain by a spy from Kumogakure, one woman lamented to another. Indeed, it must be unbearably difficult for him to suffer such great losses at such a tender age, the second woman commiserated. To make matters worse, he hails from the branch family, destined to endure a lifetime of subservience, added a third woman, her voice laden with sympathy. Just then, the head of the Hyuga clan, Aashi Hyuga, arrived, accompanied by his identical twin brother, Hisashi Hyuga. Jirioku, please accept my sincerest condolences for the loss of your mother, Aashi Hyuga expressed sympathetically. Upon hearing his name, Jirioku stirred from his motionless state and turned to face the clan head, bowing respectfully in his direction. For the transgression of another, there is no reason for you to apologize, Jirioku humbly replied. Impressed by Jirioku's level-headedness, Aashi nodded approvingly before addressing him. Jirioku, you possess intelligence and sensibility beyond your years. I hold great hope for your future, he remarked. Thank you, clan head, Jirioku replied, his voice laced with humility. As a member of the branch family, it is my duty to take care of your needs. If there is anything you require, do not hesitate to ask, and I will do my utmost to provide it for you, Hisashi Hyuga offered kindly, mindful of his responsibility towards the branch family. Thank you, Hisashi-sama, Jirioku expressed his gratitude in a gentle tone. With that, Aashi and Hisashi departed, and Jirioku bowed respectfully as they left. Once they were out of sight, he returned to his previous position, standing motionless like a statue, silently observing the final rites of his departed mother. After the funeral rites were concluded, Jirioku remained alone in the cemetery. As a final gesture of respect, he bowed deeply towards his mother's grave and whispered, "Thank you for your unwavering love, mother. I vow to avenge your death and make your killers pay for their heinous act." After leaving the cemetery, Jirioku walked towards his home without glancing back. Once he arrived, he took a refreshing shower to wash away the dust of the day. As the sun was setting, he sat down on a comfortable tatami seat, savoring his meal before settling down for the night. Jirioku closed his eyes and began to contemplate. It has been nearly 4 years since I found myself in the Naruto world after a tragic accident on Earth. I was transmigrated into the Hyuga clan and became a member of the branch family, whose fate is determined by the main house. The date for receiving the curse mark is fast approaching, and I recall that during Hinata's 3rd birthday celebration, all branch family members aged 4 and above were marked with the curse seal, he thought to himself. Jirioku Hyuga pondered to himself, I refuse to let anyone have power over me, let alone grant them the authority to dictate my demise. However, my fate hinges on the response of the clan head tomorrow, and I must make a decision accordingly. The following morning, Jirioku prepared himself and made his way to the vast open space within the Hyuga clan compound, where ordinary members typically congregated. Upon arrival, he noticed numerous children around his age accompanied by their parents. Hisashi Hyuga stood atop a raised platform and advised everyone to remain quiet as the clan head would be giving a speech. Hayashi Hyuga arrived shortly thereafter, accompanied by a group of elderly men who were likely the clan's elders. Parents placed their children in the center of the space and gathered in the corners, awaiting the clan head's address. As Hayashi gazed upon the children, he spoke with conviction, "You are the future of the Hyuga clan. Only through your hard work can we flourish. The curse mark, cage bird, is a means to protect our bloodline limit, the Byakugan. Therefore, on the day of my daughter's birthday, in 4 days' time, you will all receive the mark of the cage bird." His words carried a weight of responsibility and duty, a reminder to the children that they were part of something greater than themselves. Some children, who didn't know what the words of Hayashi actually meant and were completely unaware of the dreadful fate that awaited them in the future, smiled brightly and innocently, enjoying their brief moment of happiness, while others who had been informed by their parents of the grim truth about their future looked somber and dejected, knowing that their lives would soon change for the worse. The elders looked at them with disdain and contempt, and one of them said in a cold and stern voice, "They have to be taught the full significance and implications of the cage bird mark as soon as possible. We cannot tolerate any tools that might harbor rebellious thoughts and try to resist us or challenge our authority." Jirioku lifted his hand at that moment. Hayashi noticed him and asked, "Do you want to ask something?" Jirioku said, "Yes, clan head, I have a question. What if someone was born blind or lost their eyes in an accident? Would they still get the cage bird mark?" Hayashi was surprised by Jirioku's question, but he replied, "As I said, the cage bird mark is to protect the Byakugan bloodline limit. So if someone from the Hyuga clan was born blind or lost their eyes, they would not get the cage bird mark. However, they would have to live in the outer layer of the Hyuga clan compound, and their status would be lower than someone with the cage bird mark." Jirioku said, "Thank you for clearing my doubts, clan head." He did not say anything else after that. Chapter 2. Hayashi felt a slight confusion as to why Jirioku would ask such a question, but he ultimately dismissed it as mere childish curiosity. After delivering a speech to the young children, who were no more than 4 years old, on the importance of the branch family's contribution to the prosperity of the Hyuga clan, Hayashi, the leader of the clan, as well as all the elders present, departed from the gathering. The children followed suit and left with their parents, including Jirioku, who was also among the group. It could be observed that the children were influenced by the speech, which can be interpreted as a form of indoctrination or brainwashing. Jirioku was inside his house, focused on refining his chakra. It had been 10 days since he began refining chakra. His first attempt at refining chakra had taken him only 1 day, and his mother had been overjoyed by his quick progress. She had also warned him not to disclose his newfound ability to anyone, as the village of Konoha had a dark side, and Jirioku knew all too well the dangers of speaking out of turn. Jirioku's father had also been a prodigious genius who had developed a prototype for a wind chakra mode, akin to the thunder chakra mode of the Raikage. Sadly, he passed away before he could perfect it. If he had succeeded, Jirioku's father would have surpassed even the clan head in terms of strength. Only Jirioku's mother knew about his father's potential wind chakra mode, and he had kept it a secret from everyone else. He feared that if this information were to be revealed, the main family might feel threatened and resort to violence to maintain their dominance. The consequences could be dire, and Jirioku's father was not willing to risk his life or the safety of his family. Jirioku stepped out of the chakra refining room after spending a strenuous 2 hours in there, his mind focused on his imminent plans. He made his way to the rooftop of his house and stared up at the vast expanse of stars twinkling in the night sky. A profound sense of sadness enveloped him, and he whispered to his parents, "I know this isn't what you both would have wanted for me, but I have no choice. I cannot let anyone control me or my destiny. I understand the gravity of what I am about to do and the consequences that will follow, but I am willing to face them all." As he gazed at the stars, memories of his parents flooded his mind, and he felt a lump form in his throat. He knew that after tomorrow, he may have to leave the only home he had known for the past 4 years, a home that held so many cherished memories of his family. But Jirioku was determined to see his plans through to the end and avenge his parents' deaths. He continued, his voice barely above a whisper, "Leaving this house will be one of the hardest things I will ever have to do, but I promise you both that one day, I will take it back, and it will be a symbol of our family's strength and resilience. And I will make sure that your sacrifices were not in vain." Lost in his thoughts, Juryoku eventually drifted off to sleep on the rooftop, his body bathed in the cool night air. It was a peaceful sleep, perhaps the last he would experience for a while. He knew that after today, his life would never be the same, and he may not have the luxury of a peaceful slumber again. The weight of his impending actions weighed heavily on his mind, but for now, he allowed himself a moment of respite, a chance to gather his strength for what was to come. The following morning, Juryoku woke up early, his mind resolved to execute his plan. He took a refreshing shower and then began packing all the precious memories of his parents, along with a few essential belongings such as clothes. As he packed, his mind wandered to the memories associated with each item, and his heart felt heavy with emotion. Once he was finished, he took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves, and left the house. As he made his way through the familiar streets, his eyes scanned the surroundings, taking in the sights and sounds of the place he had once called home. Juryoku's destination was the Konoha Hospital. Juryoku arrived at the Konoha Hospital and quickly located a medical ninja. He approached her and inquired, "Excuse me, do you know where I can find someone with the best healing abilities in this hospital?" The medical ninja regarded Juryoku curiously, her expression a mix of surprise and suspicion. She wondered why someone from Hyuga clan would be asking about the best healer in the hospital. However, after a brief moment of consideration, she responded, "Yes, I do know who you're looking for. Follow me, and I'll take you to them." Juryoku followed the medical ninja as she led him through the winding corridors of the hospital. His heart raced with anticipation as he wondered if his plan would succeed. He knew that what he was about to do was risky, but he had no other choice if he wanted to achieve his ultimate goal. As they walked for a few minutes, Juryoku and the medical ninja eventually came across a woman in a white coat. The medical ninja approached the woman and pointed towards Juryoku, saying, "Deputy Dean, he was looking for someone with the best healing ability, and there is no one better than you in all of Konoha. Moreover, he is a member of the Hyuga clan, so I brought him directly to you." The woman, who was the deputy dean of the hospital, looked at Juryoku with a mix of curiosity and concern. She could sense that something was amiss, and she wondered why someone from the Hyuga clan was seeking her out for healing. However, she decided to hear him out and asked, "What seems to be the problem? How can I help you?" Juryoku calmly addressed the deputy dean and asked, "Excuse me, I wanted to ask if you can heal someone who had their eyes gouged out?" The deputy dean was taken aback by Juryoku's question. She had never encountered such a request before and wondered who could have suffered such a horrific injury. The deputy dean looked at Juryoku with confusion and asked, "Yes, I can help with such an injury. But may I know why are you asking me this?" Ignoring the deputy dean's question, Juryoku proceeded to ask another one, "What will be your fees for this kind of procedure?" Despite being confused by Juryoku's previous question, the deputy dean responded, "The cost for such a procedure would be around 10,000 ryo." Juryoku nodded in acknowledgement and reached into his pants pocket, taking out the required amount of money. He handed it over to the deputy dean and said, "Please see if this is enough to cover the cost." The deputy dean had a constant feeling of unease and asked, "Before we proceed, may I know the reason why you are giving me this money?" Juryoku responded calmly, "You can keep it. I just don't want the money to get dirty." Chapter 3. The deputy dean was utterly perplexed by Juryoku's behavior, yet she accepted the money with a curious demeanor, anticipating what would transpire next. "Can you please inform me whom you would like me to treat?" inquired the deputy dean. "Of course, me," Juryoku replied. The deputy dean gazed at him with confusion, as Juryoku appeared perfectly fine without a scratch. Observing the perplexed expression of the deputy dean, Juryoku remained silent and turned around. He took a deep breath and with determined conviction, he used both of his hands to gouge out his own eyes. Shocked, not only the deputy dean, but also everyone who witnessed this act watched in horror as Juryoku turned back toward them, holding his eyeballs in his hands. The deputy dean was initially puzzled by Juryoku's actions, but she never would have imagined that a child no more than 4 years old could gouge out their own eyes without any signs of pain or distress on their face. As the deputy dean continued to stare at Jirioku in utter disbelief, her mind raced with a flurry of questions. What could have possibly motivated such a drastic and horrific act? Meanwhile, Jirioku stood before her, his face expressionless and his hands still clutching his bloody eyeballs. The silence was palpable, and the onlookers held their breath, unsure of what would happen next. Before the deputy dean could even question Jirioku about his inexplicable behavior, something even more shocking occurred. Without a moment's hesitation, Jirioku crushed his eyeballs, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The deputy dean was at a loss for words, unable to comprehend the gravity of what she had just witnessed. She had never encountered such a strange and disturbing situation in all her years as a medical professional, and she struggled to maintain her composure as she tried to make sense of it all. Jirioku, on the other hand, seemed unfazed by the ordeal, as if he were simply carrying out a mundane task. For now she didn't ask any question, just focus on healing him. After a half-hour of healing process, finally she was able to heal the eyes, but obviously there were no eyeballs. With a fierce demeanor, the deputy dean fixed his gaze upon Jirioku and demanded an explanation. What compelled you to gouge your own eyes out? I expect a valid reason. Although the deputy dean voiced the query, it resonated within the minds of all those present who had witnessed Jirioku's self-inflicted harm. Jirioku spoke calmly, explaining the division within the Hyuga clan. Our Hyuga clan is divided into two factions, the branch family and the main family. The branch family is marked with a curse seal, symbolized by a caged bird, to safeguard the Byakugan blood limit from falling into the wrong hands. At least this is the reason they give. However, this same seal grants the main family absolute control over the lives of the branch family members. I refuse to allow anyone else to have power over my life, so I removed the main reason for which they claim to plant curse-marked cagebird, said Jirioku. The deputy dean of the hospital was not taken aback by Jirioku's account of the Hyuga clan, given her knowledge about various families. However, she was astounded by the unwavering resolve and determination displayed by a mere 4-year-old child. Even an adult would not dare to do what he just did. The bystanders present were also taken aback and began whispering amongst themselves, shocked by Jirioku's words. As civilians, they doesn't know much about what happens in big families, especially a family like Hyuga. As the crowd whispered amongst themselves, a sudden ding sounded in Jirioku's mind, causing him to startle and tilt his head in confusion as he attempted to locate the source of the noise. Ding! Conditions met. System is starting 1%, 10%, 100%. Ding! Congratulations on getting the template of Isho, Fujitora. Ding! Congratulations on getting observation haki. Ding! Congratulations on getting Shikamazu's sword. Observing the bewildered expression on Jirioku's face, the deputy dean inquired with concern, is everything all right? Are you feeling okay? I am fine, there's no need to worry, reassured Jirioku to the deputy dean. Thank you for your assistance. I should be on my way now, and I apologize for any inconvenience caused. With those words, Jirioku got up from his seat. Utilizing his observation haki, he could sense the surroundings within a 10-meter radius of himself. Please allow me to escort you back to your home, insisted the deputy dean. Thank you for your kindness, but I can manage on my own. It's something I need to get used to, right? Replied Jirioku, halting the deputy dean's offer. With that, Jirioku left the hospital and made his way towards his home. Despite utilizing his observation haki, he still needed a few minutes to arrive at his destination, considering his lack of proficiency with the technique. Nonetheless, he managed to reach his house safely. System, tell me about yourself, asked Jirioku. Ding! You have been selected from your universe, and you may regard me as your assistant who will assist you in becoming stronger. There is no need to know anything else at this time. The only way to become stronger is through constant training and by improving upon the template of Isho. There are no shortcuts. Is there any mission for me? Asked Jirioku. Ding! Yes, your only mission is to inherit the power of Isho completely. Upon hearing the system's words, Juryoku nodded his head in agreement and stated, "Please provide me with the Shikamazu's sword." As Juryoku's words trailed off, a sword resembling a crutch materialized in his hands. With a swift motion, Juryoku drew the blade from its sheath and beheld its fine craftsmanship. After waving the sword a few times, Juryoku took a seat on the tatami mat and began to wait, knowing that news of his actions would soon reach the ears of the clan head, Hayashi. Chapter 4. Approximately 30 minutes had elapsed since the tumultuous incident occurred at the hospital. At present, Sarutobi Hiruzen was engrossed in the task of scrutinizing and finalizing some important documents in his office, situated in the esteemed Hokage building. Suddenly, a sharp knock resonated on the door, indicating the arrival of an Umbu ninja seeking an audience with the revered leader. "Enter," uttered Sarutobi Hiruzen in response. The Umbu member knelt down on one knee and addressed Sarutobi Hiruzen with respect, using his honorific title, Hokage-sama. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned his gaze towards the Umbu ninja and inquired, "Do you have any crucial news to report?" The Umbu ninja conveyed distressing news to Sarutobi Hiruzen. "Hokage-sama, a tragic incident occurred at the hospital. A 4-year-old boy from the Hyuga clan gouged out his own eyes in front of witnesses. When questioned about his actions, he revealed that he feared being subjected to the cursed seal cage bird and controlled by the main family. Hence, he resorted to self-mutilation," reported the ninja. "What? Are you absolutely certain? How could a mere 4-year-old possess such intellect and awareness?" Sarutobi Hiruzen was taken aback by the news. Despite having witnessed numerous prodigies during his lifetime, he had never encountered someone with such profound conviction and determination at such a tender age. "May I know his identity? Is he the offspring of Aashi?" Sarutobi Hiruzen's tone was one of perplexity, as he had heard of Asashi's son being a prodigy, and that Asashi was vehemently opposed to his son receiving the cursed seal cage bird mark. Thus, the first person that came to his mind was Hyuga Niji. Umbu member corrected his assumption, "No, Hokage-sama. The boy's name is Hyuga Juryoku, and his father is Hyuga Kazien, who tragically lost his life on the night of the Nine Tails attack." Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head mournfully and commented, "Sigh. Kazien was an exceptional ninja and a brilliant prodigy. Had he not been marked with the cursed seal cage bird, he could have become an elite jonin. It is indeed surprising to learn that his son has grown up under such tragic circumstances. By the way, how is Juryoku faring at the moment?" inquired Hiruzen. "He is currently stable. The deputy dean of the Konoha hospital treated his injuries. However, since he damaged his eyes irreparably, he will remain blind for the rest of his life," stated the Umbu. Upon learning that Juryoku had destroyed his eyes, resulting in the loss of his vision, Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head repeatedly in dismay. "What is the public's reaction to this incident?" inquired Hiruzen. "The common folks are exhibiting compassion towards him, but the ninja community regards his actions as a foolish act," reported the Umbu. "Go and inform Hayashi that although he may punish Juryoku as he sees fit, he must exercise restraint and not cross the line. The people of Konoha are watching, and I do not want to hear any unfavorable remarks from them," instructed Sarutobi Hiruzen. If it were an ordinary circumstance, he would not interfere in a clan's internal affairs, particularly concerning someone who had lost their vision. However, given the public's sympathetic response to Juryoku's situation, he had to ensure that everything proceeded peacefully. Otherwise, people might begin to question his competence, and Danzo was waiting for such an opportunity. "Yes, Hokage-sama." With a cloud of smoke, Umbu ninja disappeared from Hokage office. Meanwhile, a heated debate was unfolding in the Hyuga clan compound. Despite him gouging out his own eyes, Juryoku must still be marked with the cursed seal of the caged bird. Otherwise, this may plant rebellious thoughts in the minds of other members of the branch family, declared the Hyuga elder, who was the father of Hayashi Hyuga. "If we mark Juryoku with the caged bird seal, father, it will give the impression to the people of the village that we are treating the branch family as slaves. This could potentially tarnish the reputation of our clan," argued Hayashi. "You make a valid point," conceded the Hyuga elder. I propose that we assassinate him and make it look like he was killed by spies from another hidden village, suggested another elder. Such a plan is too risky, as the people of Konoha are not foolish. They will immediately suspect us if he is assassinated, the Hyuga elder pointed out. A Hyuga ninja approached and said, "Clan head, a member of the Umbu is here to see you." The clan members exchanged puzzled looks, wondering why Umbu, who directly served the Hokage, had come to see clan head. Despite their confusion, Hayashi remained composed and instructed them, saying, "Bring him in." As the Umbu ninja entered the vast hall, he glanced at the members of the Hyuga main family and respectfully bowed to Hayashi before speaking. "Hokage-sama has instructed me to inform you that he will not intervene in whatever punishment you choose to give Hyuga Juryoku. However, please be mindful not to overstep the boundaries, as Juryoku's actions have attracted the attention of the people of Konoha, and the Hokage does not wish to be embarrassed." Hayashi conveyed his message, saying, "Please inform Hokage-sama that we will bear his words in mind and ensure that no action of ours brings any embarrassment to him." Following that, the Umbu ninja nodded in acknowledgement and departed from the hall. Observing the departure of the Umbu ninja, one of the Hyuga elder remarked, "It appears that we cannot inflict any harm upon Juryoku, otherwise we risk displeasing Hokage-sama. Indeed, we must exercise utmost restraint and avoid causing any harm to him," Hayashi affirmed. The elder of the Hyuga clan cautioned the others and specifically addressed one of them, saying, "And you, in particular, must not even entertain the thought of causing harm to him until he leaves the village." The addressed elder simply replied with a nod, indicating his agreement. Hayashi turned to a Hyuga servant and instructed them, saying, "Please call for Juryoku at once. I wish to speak with him." "Understood," the servant replied before promptly leaving to carry out their task. Meanwhile, Juryoku had been waiting in his house until a Hyuga ninja arrived to escort him to the clan head. "I'm coming," Juryoku announced as he picked up his sword. As the door of his house opened, the Hyuga ninja appeared, ready to guide Juryoku to his destination. "Follow me. Hayashi-sama is waiting for you," the ninja said as he approached Juryoku. However, Juryoku declined the offer of being escorted and instead said, "No need. I can walk by myself. You can go ahead of me, and I will follow you." Thus, the Hyuga ninja led the way, while Juryoku followed from behind. Along the way, the ninja attempted to test Juryoku's abilities by walking on a bumpy path, but to the ninja's surprise, Juryoku chose to walk on the smoother path, showing his impeccable balance and control. Chapter 5. Finally, Juryoku reached the meeting hall of the Hyuga clan, where Hayashi and the elders were waiting. At this time, there was one more person present, none other than Hyuga Hizashi. "Good day to everyone present here," Juryoku said as he bowed slightly. However, Juryoku's bow was just a simple greeting. He didn't bow respectfully and greet the clan head like he did before. Seeing this, the Hyuga elder became displeased and spoke up, "Don't you know that the clan head and elders of the clan are sitting in front of you? You should show proper respect by bowing and greeting them properly." Juryoku spoke calmly, "And why should I bow respectfully to you all when I know that I will be expelled from this clan? It would be meaningless." The Hyuga elder spoke up, his tone sharp and laced with disapproval. "And what gives you the confidence to believe that after what you've done, you can simply walk away from the esteemed Hyuga clan without facing any consequences?" Juryoku spoke with a smile on his face. "Considering that what happened in the hospital was witnessed by many civilians, it is likely that news of it has reached the ears of Hokage-sama. I believe that our Hokage-sama, being a kind and benevolent person, would never let any harm come to me." The faces of everyone present in the meeting hall changed rapidly upon hearing those words. Hayashi suppressed his shock and spoke, "I had high expectations from a genius like you. Why did you do this?" Juryoku replied, "If you have already heard about what happened in the hospital, then you must know the reason behind it. Therefore, I don't see the need to waste your time or mine by repeating the same thing." Hizashi attempted to convince Juryoku by saying, "Juryoku, what you did was wrong. The branch family is responsible for protecting the main family and carrying the legacy of the Hyuga clan even further. Jirioku responded calmly, "Do you really believe that from your heart?" "I don't think so. If you truly believed it, then you wouldn't have tried to stop your son, Niji, from receiving the same cursed seal, the caged bird seal, that you received. You wouldn't have begged your elder brother to spare your son from the same fate." Hizashi was rendered speechless upon hearing Jirioku's words and did not say anything further. Hayashi declared, "Enough, Jirioku. Starting today, you will no longer be allowed to reside within the Hyuga clan compound. You will live in the area where all the orphan civilians reside. As your parents died fighting for the village, you will receive a proper living allowance. Furthermore, from this day forward, you will have nothing to do with the Hyuga clan. You will not be allowed to use Hyuga as your title." Jirioku firmly expressed his acceptance of the terms, except for the last part. He said, "I agree to your every term, except the one where I cannot use the Hyuga surname. It's not because I want any benefits, but because this surname was given to me by my father and mother. It's impossible for me to not use it. However, I am not proud of this surname. If I had to choose, I would rather not have it. Therefore, I won't announce my name as Hyuga Jirioku, but only Jirioku. However, on an official basis, my name will be Hyuga Jirioku." Hayashi glanced at the Hyuga elder, who nodded in agreement. Hayashi then turned to Jirioku and said, "All right, you can lead now." He then addressed the Hyuga ninja who had brought Jirioku and said, "Take him to the place where war orphans live after they become independent. He will be allowed to live there." "Understood, clan head." The Hyuga ninja bowed to Hayashi. He then turned to Jirioku and said, "Follow me." Jirioku complied and began to follow the ninja. "Wait a minute, isn't he blind? How can he walk so easily?" one of the elders spoke up. "I agree. This must be a conspiracy. He must have conspired with someone in the hospital and faked everything," said the other elder. "Stop and open your eyelids." "Show us your eyes," said the elder. The Hyuga elder, too, had doubts, so he refrained from stopping the other elders. Jirioku couldn't resist shaking his head and smiling mockingly as he opened his hollow eyes. The elders were rendered speechless when they saw this. "This incident proves that what I did was absolutely correct," Jirioku said while shaking his head. Jirioku turned towards the Hyuga ninja and spoke, "Please take me to my former house first. I need to collect some of my essential belongings before moving to my new residence." Subsequently, Jirioku and the Hyuga ninja departed from the meeting hall. One of the Hyuga clan elders expressed their concern about Jirioku's intelligence, stating, "He is very clever. He must be eliminated, or he could become a threat to the Hyuga family in the future. Firstly, he can't be killed. If we do this, we will offend Hokage-sama. And secondly, Jirioku is a rational person. We didn't do anything that harmed him, nor did anyone misbehave with his father or mother, so he doesn't have any point to have enmity for our Hyuga clan," analyzed Hayashi calmly. "Besides, Jirioku is not a threat to our clan as long as we don't give him any reason to be. We just need to keep a watchful eye on him and make sure he doesn't cause any trouble," added Hayashi. The elders nodded in agreement, realizing that Hayashi was right. It was better to keep Jirioku alive and under surveillance rather than risk offending the Hokage and creating unnecessary enemies. The Hyuga elder affirmed Hayashi's stance and advised against any actions for the time being, reminding the listener of their previous words. All those present nodded in agreement, except for one elder who had remained silent throughout the meeting and had always been in favor of Jirioku's death. Hayashi then adjourned the meeting and everyone dispersed. The elder in question was Hyuga Tanai, who returned home where his son asked him if Jirioku had been killed. Hyuga Tanai stated that the Hokage had intervened in the matter and that they were not permitted to kill Jirioku or subject him to the curse-mark caged bird technique. Furthermore, since Jirioku had no animosity towards the Hyuga clan, it was deemed to be a relatively insignificant issue by most people. "He won't have any idea what happened, right?" asked Hyuga's son. Hyuga Tanai became enraged and smacked his son on the head. "This is all because of you. If you hadn't done what you did, like everyone else, I wouldn't have to worry so much," he exclaimed. "What can I say? I was just having fun, and she died. She was so fragile, replied the elder's son. However, this time his face was twisted with madness and lust, making him look disgusting. And what can he do? He's blind and doesn't have any family support, so we don't have to fear him, he continued. Shut up. Don't even mention it. It's because of your madness that I have to face so many problems, scolded Hyuga Tanai. I fear him because of his cleverness and the way he does things so calmly. And if he really knows the truth about his parents and yet remains composed, then there's no one more dangerous than him. I hope my worries are unfounded, said Hyuga Tanai. Chapter 6. Jurioku left the meeting hall and headed straight to his house to collect his belongings. Afterwards, the Hyuga ninja escorted him to a decrepit, two-story building. The Hyuga ninja instructed Jurioku to remain in place, assuring him that he would be back shortly. Jurioku acknowledged the directive with a nod of his head. The Hyuga ninja departed for the Hokage building, traversing through the bustling streets of the village until he finally arrived at his destination. Upon entering the building, he navigated his way to the logistics department. Just as he was about to inquire, a familiar voice called out to him. Hey Ko, what are you doing here? The person asked. The Hyuga ninja turned to face the source of the voice and recognized an old acquaintance from his days in the ninja academy. Good to see you again, Kakuto, the Hyuga ninja greeted his acquaintance with a nod. I was hoping I could count on your assistance. I need some paperwork done for a house transfer involving an orphan. Here's a scroll with all the necessary details. Hyuga Ko handed Kakuto the scroll, confident that his old academy friend would be able to handle the task. Yeah, why not, Kakuto responded as he accepted the scroll from Hyuga Ko. However, as he scanned through the document, his expression turned slightly sour. He furrowed his brow and looked back up at Hyuga Ko with a hint of confusion in his eyes. I see that this individual is a member of your family. Why would you want to transfer him out to the orphan building? Kakuto inquired, hoping to understand the reason behind the unusual request. Hyuga Ko sighed, feeling a pang of discomfort at the mention of the family matter. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other, hesitating for a moment before responding to Kakuto's query. It's a complicated family issue, and I'd rather not discuss it further, he explained, his tone slightly subdued. Besides, I'm sure you'll learn more about the situation as you go about your business in the village. For now, could you please prepare the necessary papers? He asked, hoping to expedite the process and avoid any further discussion on the matter. All right, I won't press the matter any further, Kakuto acquiesced. With a quick nod, he set to work preparing the necessary documents and transferring the property over to the orphan in question. Once everything was in order, he handed the keys and papers to Hyuga Ko, wishing him luck with his undertaking. Hyuga Ko thanked his old friend and made his way out of the building, eager to complete the task at hand. With the keys in hand, he made his way towards the designated residence, where Jurioku was patiently waiting for him to arrive. Come with me, Hyuga Ko beckoned to Jurioku. He made his way to the front door, inserted the key he had just received from Kakuto, and opened the door with a creak. As he stepped inside, he gestured for Jurioku to follow. From today onwards, this will be your home, Hyuga Ko announced, turning to face Jurioku. And behind the house, there's an open space where you can practice your skills if you so desire. For now, you are the sole occupant of this two-story dwelling. As for the future, I can't make any promises, he added, his tone thoughtful. Thanks for your hard work, Jurioku expressed his gratitude, feeling a sense of relief now that he had a place to call home. I am very grateful that you helped a blind person like me in settling into a new house. Hyuga Ko nodded, feeling a sense of satisfaction that he had been able to fulfill his duties as instructed by the clan head. This is what the clan head ordered me to do, so you don't have to thank me, he replied modestly. I'm just glad that I could be of assistance. Would you be kind enough to tell me your name? Jurioku asked politely. Hyuga Ko paused for a moment, considering the request, before finally speaking up. My name is Hyuga Ko, he replied in a calm tone. Jurioku nodded in acknowledgement and waited for a moment before speaking again. As Hyuga Ko turned to leave, he hesitated and turned back to Jirioku. "I'm not sure whether what you did was right or wrong," he said with a hint of uncertainty in his voice. "But I do know that I don't have the courage to take the same risks you did for the sake of freedom." With those words, he quickly made his exit, leaving Jirioku alone with his thoughts. Jirioku smiled upon hearing Ko's words of encouragement. Taking a deep breath, he set to work cleaning his humble abode, determined to make it spotless. Despite his blindness, Jirioku relied on his other senses to guide him, feeling his way around his home and using his sense of smell to identify any areas that needed extra attention. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage building, the news of Jirioku's expulsion from the Hyuga clan had just reached the ears of the Hokage. The Hokage himself was pleased to hear that the clan had taken his words seriously and had only punished Jirioku by expelling him from their ranks. The Hokage knew all too well the delicate balance of power that existed within the village and between the various clans. He had worked tirelessly to maintain peace and harmony among them, and he was glad that the situation with Jirioku had been resolved without any further conflict. For Jirioku, however, the future was uncertain. And Hokage didn't care about him. Deep within the secret base of the Root organization, a ninja was reporting back to Danzo on the recent events that had unfolded in Konoha. The ninja relayed all that they had witnessed at the Konoha hospital and the subsequent expulsion of Jirioku from the Hyuga clan. "He won't amount to much in life, there's no need to keep tabs on him," declared Danzo, dismissing the blind man as useless. Though he didn't say more, Danzo believed that someone like Jirioku had no place in his organization. The Root required absolute obedience, something that could only be achieved through the Cursed Tongue Eradication Seal. Jirioku's independent spirit and unwillingness to be controlled by others made him an unsuitable candidate for the organization. Danzo knew that the Cursed Tongue Eradication Seal was a necessary evil in his line of work. It ensured that members of the Root were fully committed to him and would never betray him. However, it came at a cost. The seal robbed individuals of their free will and their ability to make their own choices, so someone like Jirioku would die rather than joining him. Chapter 7. Jirioku had just finished cleaning his new house with utmost care, relying solely on his other senses. He meticulously dusted every corner, scrubbed every surface, and organized every item in the house. As he sat down in the middle of his living room, he took a deep breath and felt a sense of satisfaction wash over him. Despite being visually impaired, Jirioku had managed to create a warm and welcoming environment in his new home. He could feel the texture of the soft cushions on his sofa, smell the fresh aroma of the flowers on his windowsill, and hear the gentle voice of the birds outside. "System, can you please guide me on how to increase the progress of my template?" asked Jirioku. Ding! Name, Hyuga Jirioku. Chakra, Introductory Level. Template, Isho Fujitora, 0.000%. Strength, weaker than Genin. Daily task, increase template by 0.015%. Swing sword, 0 out of 100. Run, 0/1 mile. Push-ups, 0 out of 10. Note, as your strength improves, the difficulty of task will also increase. Without hesitation, Jirioku decided to go outside and complete today's task. He stepped out into the open space and started to run, feeling the wind rush through his hair and the cool breeze on his face. As he ran, he couldn't help but feel invigorated by the freedom of movement. After completing a mile, Jirioku decided to challenge himself further and began to do push-ups. He focused on maintaining his form and breathing steadily as he pushed his body to its limits. Despite feeling a bit of strain, he persisted and completed 10 sets. Of completing a mile, Jirioku decided to challenge himself further and began to do push-ups. He focused on maintaining his form and breathing steadily as he pushed his body to its limits. Despite feeling a bit of strain, he persisted and completed 10 sets of push-ups. Feeling a sense of accomplishment, Jirioku decided to practice his sword skills. He drew his trusty sword and began to swing it, feeling the weight of the blade in his hands. He executed various moves and stances, honing his skills with each swing. Finally, after swinging the sword 100 times, Jirioku stopped and took a deep breath. He felt a sense of fatigue wash over him as he collapsed onto the ground, panting heavily. Despite being only 4 years old, Juryoku had pushed his body to its limits, and he knew that he had accomplished a great deal. Ding! Template, Isho, Fujitora, 0.015%. Following his rigorous physical training, Juryoku resolved to refine his chakra. However, he realized that it would be wiser to do so after a hearty meal. He knew that refining his chakra could take a toll on his physical body, and attempting it without proper sustenance could potentially harm him instead of benefiting him. Therefore, he made the conscious decision to fuel his body first before proceeding with his chakra refinement. After taking a much-needed rest for half an hour, Juryoku made his way to the renowned Ichiraku ramen restaurant to satisfy his hunger with a delicious bowl of ramen. However, he didn't spend his rest period idly. Instead, he utilized his keen observation skills, honed through his mastery of the observation haki, to scrutinize his surroundings and distinguish even the slightest details. Juryoku ventured through the bustling streets, stopping to ask for directions from various individuals until he finally arrived at the Ichiraku ramen shop. Upon entering, he promptly located an available seat and placed his order with the Tuchi Ichiraku, saying, "May I have the miso-based ramen with extra chasu, please?" "Absolutely, your piping hot bowl of delicious ramen will be ready for you in just a moment," responded Tuchi Ichiraku, the proud and dedicated owner of the renowned Ichiraku ramen eatery. At that moment, the bustling Ichiraku ramen shop appeared almost empty, with hardly any customers occupying the seats. After waiting for what seemed like an eternity, a server emerged from the kitchen with a steaming bowl of tantalizing ramen and carefully presented it to Juryoku, who eagerly awaited its arrival. Ichiraku inquired, "May I ask for your name? I haven't seen you around here before." Juryoku introduced himself, "I'm Juryoku, and I'm an orphan. However, from this day forward, I'll probably be one of your regular customers." As Juryoku spoke, Ichiraku's mind drifted into deep contemplation, trying to recall the conversations he had overheard from both the ninjas and commoners who frequented his shop. They had discussed an unfortunate incident that had occurred at the Konoha hospital, and upon seeing Juryoku's closed eyes, Ichiraku made the connection that this was the same boy they were talking about. Overwhelmed with a sense of sympathy, Ichiraku disappeared into his shop, only to return moments later with a token in hand. With a warm smile, Ichiraku extended the token towards Juryoku and said, "Congratulations. You are a lucky customer today and have won a 50% discount voucher. You can now enjoy our delicious ramen every day at half the price." Juryoku slowly turned his face towards Ichiraku, seemingly fixated on the kind-hearted shop owner. While he hadn't yet mastered observation haki to the extent of perceiving other people's emotions, he had a strong sense that the expression on Ichiraku's face was one of pity or sympathy towards him. Juryoku shook his head, "I appreciate your generosity, but I don't want you to feel pity for me. I don't need that voucher, so please give it to someone else who needs it more than I do," he said with a calm and collected tone. He continued, "My parents were both skilled ninjas, and they have left me with a considerable amount of wealth. In addition, the living allowance I receive is more than enough to live a comfortable life. So, I assure you that I don't require any charity or pity. Nonetheless, I am grateful for your kind offer. I'll make sure to give the voucher to someone in need, but you must come to my shop every day for a bowl of ramen," Ichiraku declared with a warm smile. Juryoku chuckled, "I will definitely come, but only if you add more meat to my ramen." Ichiraku laughed heartily, "Consider it done. You don't have to worry about that." After chatting with Ichiraku for a while, Juryoku made his way back to his house. As he settled in, he began refining his chakra, focusing on channeling it more efficiently. To his amazement, he found himself able to extract more chakra than he ever had before. Surprised, he pondered on this sudden increase in his abilities. "It's quite obvious," he thought to himself, "as my body and spirit grow stronger due to increase in the template, so does my capacity to refine chakra." Chapter 8. After dedicating his time to refining his chakra, he was exhausted. With a clear mind and a calm spirit, he decided it was time to rest and recharge. That night, he slept soundly, and the next morning he awoke feeling refreshed and energized. Eager to start his day, he ventured to his kitchen and began preparing a hearty breakfast for himself. He carefully selected the ingredients he had purchased the day before from Ichiraku ramen shop, as he can't see and unable to tell quality of the ingredients, so he asked Ichiraku for the ingredients, ensuring that each item was fresh and of the highest quality. With each slice, chop, and stir, he felt a sense of peace and joy, knowing that he was nourishing his body and mind with wholesome food. Once he had finished his delicious meal, he turned his attention to his daily task, which had been assigned to him by the system. With a sense of purpose and determination, he set out to complete the task to the best of his ability. After dedicating an hour of focused effort, he successfully completed the task assigned by the system. Ding! Congratulations on increasing template by 0.015%. Template, Isho, Fujitora, 0.03%. Feeling a sense of accomplishment after his recent training, he decided to take a brief break before moving on to the next skill he wanted to master. After resting for half an hour, he began practicing the foundational skill that all ninjas must master, walking on ground without making a sound. He attached Chakra to his feet. With each step, he focused on minimizing the sound of his movements. Using his ears, he tried to detect any noise that he might be making. This practice also increases the control over Chakra. He practiced for as long as he could, trying to extend the amount of time he could walk without making a sound. However, due to his recent Chakra training, which had only been ongoing for less than 15 days, his reserves were still limited. After only 15 minutes of practice, his Chakra reserves had been depleted, and he knew he would need to take a break and continue his training later. As his Chakra reserves were depleted, he sat down on the ground to focus on recovering his Chakra. Once his Chakra had been restored, he resumed his training, determined to continue improving his skills. He searched for a few leaves and began practicing the Wind Chakra nature change, focusing his Chakra on the leaves, trying to cut them in half, but his attempts were without a fruit. However, due to the limited amount of Chakra he had available, he was only able to practice the technique a handful of times before his reserves were once again depleted. He sat quietly, allowing his Chakra to naturally replenish itself over time. As he waited, he reflected on the progress he had made so far and the challenges that lay ahead. After successfully replenishing his Chakra, he took a break to nourish his body with a well-deserved lunch. He carefully prepared his meal, ensuring that it was both delicious and nutritious. Once he had finished eating, he returned to the open space and resumed his training. Using the memories he had gained from studying the Fujitora template, he began honing his swordsmanship skills. With each swing of his blade, he focused on perfecting his technique, channeling all of his energy and focus into his movements. He continued to practice tirelessly, his movements becoming more fluid and precise with each passing moment. As the afternoon wore on, he lost track of time, fully absorbed in his training. However, as the sunlight began to fade and the temperature cooled, he realized that evening was approaching. With a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment, he knew it was time to bring his training to a close for the day. He carefully sheathed his sword and took a moment to reflect on the progress he had made. After a long day of training, he returned to his humble abode to freshen up and recharge. He took a warm and soothing bath, washing away the sweat and grime that had accumulated on his body during his intense training session. He also took the time to carefully wash and clean the clothes he had worn, ensuring that they were fresh and ready for his next training session. Once he had finished bathing and changing into a fresh new outfit, he decided to go to the Ichiraku ramen shop. However, this time he challenged himself to rely solely on his memory and observation haki from his visit the previous day. As Jirioku entered the Ichiraku ramen shop, he was greeted with a warm and enthusiastic welcome from the owner himself. "Oh, you're here. Come, come, have a seat," Ichiraku exclaimed, gesturing towards an open table. Jirioku returned the smile and took a seat at the table, feeling grateful for the friendly atmosphere of the restaurant. "Same as yesterday," he said, ordering his meal. "Coming right up," Ichiraku responded with a friendly smile as he headed to the kitchen to prepare Jirioku's ramen. As he waited for his meal, Juryoku engaged in conversation with the friendly ramen chef, asking him about his life and experiences. He found himself enjoying the simple pleasure of talking with someone who shared his passion for food and cooking. After finishing his meal, Juryoku made sure to stock up on ingredients for tomorrow's breakfast and lunch. As Juryoku continued with his daily routine, the days seemed to blur together. 2 days had passed since he began his usual training and self-care regimen, and the third day was already upon him. He had just finished his evening training session and was now sitting in his room, lost in thought. It suddenly dawned on him that it was Hinata's birthday today, and he couldn't help but wonder if the envoy from the Village of Thunder who had arrived the day before was planning to kidnap her on this special day. Juryoku pondered this possibility for a moment, but then he shook his head and muttered to himself, "Whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with me. I have my own goals to accomplish." He knew that getting involved in other people's problems would only distract him from his own goal. Chapter 9. The next evening, Juryoku had just finished his training and returned home from his favorite spot, the Ichiraku ramen shop. After refining his chakra, he was just about to drift off to sleep when he heard a sudden knock on his door. Startled by the unexpected noise, Juryoku felt confused as to who would visit his house at such a late hour. With a sense of caution, Juryoku immediately became vigilant. He reached for his trusty sword and slowly made his way to the door. As he approached the entrance, he carefully asked, "Who is it?" in a firm tone, ready to defend himself if necessary. "Hello Juryoku, it's me, Hyuga Hisashi," said the person outside the door, announcing his identity. Upon recognizing Hisashi's voice, Juryoku's guard lowered, and he felt more at ease. "Oh, Mr. Hisashi, what a pleasant surprise." "Please come inside," he replied, inviting him to enter. "Please come inside, Mr. Hisashi," Juryoku gestured, using Hisashi's formal name out of respect. "Switch on the lights so that you can see properly. For me, it's the same anyway, so I don't usually use lights." Hisashi chuckled at Juryoku's words, understanding his preference for darkness. "My life is also filled with darkness, so let the lights be off," he replied. After both of them took their respective seats, Juryoku leaned forward and asked in a calm voice, "What brings you here, Mr. Hisashi?" Hisashi took a deep breath before answering, "You must have heard that envoys from the Village of Thunder came day before yesterday to discuss a peace treaty. However, yesterday night they attempted to kidnap Princess Hyuga Hinata, but their plan was foiled, and they were killed on the spot by the Hyuga clan head. Now, the envoys of the Village of Thunder are accusing our Hyuga clan and demanding that the clan head's body be handed over as compensation. The high levels of Konoha have already agreed to their request, and the Hyuga elders have asked me to die in his place." Juryoku's expression remained unchanged as he spoke. "Let me guess, they want to trade your life for the clan heads. That way, the Hyuga clan can keep their patriarch." Hisashi nodded with a wry smile. "Yes, exactly. So why did you come to find a blind person like me?" "I don't think I can be of any help," Juryoku asked, his voice tinged with skepticism. Hisashi shook his head and replied, "I don't know, but I have a premonition that you will become even more powerful than the Hokage. Maybe you can call it a premonition of someone who is going to die. I came here to ask you if you could please protect my son when you become able to do so." Juryoku raised an eyebrow. "And why do you think I would do that? In this cursed world, nothing comes without a price." "You're right," Hisashi said, nodding his head in agreement. "That's why I'll trade with you. I have some information that I don't have any evidence of, but it's the truth." Juryoku leaned forward, his interest piqued. "And what information might that be?" Hisashi continued, "Your mother must have told you that your father was a genius who developed a prototype of wind chakra mode. Even though your father never revealed to anyone that he had mastered the prototype of wind chakra mode, he used it in many battles, and the elites who had fought for many years immediately understood its power. Even the Hokage asked your father about it, but your father denied it and said that he had just mastered some chakra nature change. Later on, after the battle with the Nine Tails, your father was absolutely fine, but he was called by someone from the roots. Later, he was found dead, and the Umbu members gave the body of your father, claiming that he died during the Nine Tails attack. But we knew he didn't, as he was seen by one of the branch family members taken by the Root Ninja. Further investigation revealed that someone had tried to extract information from your father's brain, but the cage bird was activated, and he died. MC, Father. After processing what Aashi had just revealed, Jirioku took a deep breath. However, his expression remained unchanged, not even a trace of anger. You really can control your emotions excellently, Aashi commented. Jirioku shook his head, a deep frown creasing his brow. And here I used to think you were some kind of good person, he said, his voice heavy with disappointment. By telling me all this, you wanted to plant a seed of hatred for Konoha and the main family inside me. Congratulations, you just succeeded in doing that. Ashi's expression faltered for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. I understand your feelings, but please understand that I didn't come here to manipulate you. I came to you because I trust you, and I believe that you have the power to protect my son when the time comes. Jirioku's expression softened slightly at the man's words. I will do what I can, he said, his tone serious. But you should know that I won't be able to protect your son forever. Eventually, he will have to fend for himself in this world, just like the rest of us. That's enough for me, said Ashi, his voice trembling slightly with emotion. I can die with peace of mind now, knowing that my son will be taken care of. Jirioku nodded in response, his face impassive. You should go now. I have to rest. Ashi stood up from his seat and bowed deeply. Of course. Thank you again. Jirioku didn't respond, simply listening as the man made his way out of the room. Once the door had closed behind him, Jirioku let out a deep sigh, his thoughts already turning to the information he had just received. He knew that Ashi's words would stay with him for a long time, and that he had just been given a glimpse into a dark and dangerous world that he had never fully understood before. Chapter 10. It had been 2 long days since Ashi and Jirioku met, but there had been no contact between them since then. Jirioku continued with his rigorous training schedule, dedicating himself to improving his skills and becoming stronger. However, as he walked towards the Ichiraku ramen shop that evening like always, he couldn't help but overhear people discussing Ashi's sacrifice for the village. The exact reasons behind his sacrifice were still a mystery to the people, but they were all aware that he had given up his life for the sake of the village. Jirioku was not surprised by this news. After all, it was unlikely that anyone from the higher echelons of Konoha would reveal the true reason behind Ashi's sacrifice. Doing so could tarnish the reputation of Hokage and other elders, so it was better to keep it under wraps. The Hyuga clan, too, had kept their lips sealed about the matter. After finishing his bowl of delicious ramen at the Ichiraku ramen shop, Jirioku made his way back to his house. As he walked through the bustling streets of Konoha, his thoughts drifted back to Ashi and his sacrifice. But then he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Jirioku was currently sitting in his room, lost in thought as he reminisced about his past. As a transmigrator, he had lived a whole life before being born again in this world of ninja, which meant that he had an advantage over others. He had been smart from the very beginning, and to avoid any suspicion, he used to talk less and observe more. One unique ability that came with him to this world was his photographic memory. Whatever he saw, heard, or listened to, he would remember it for a long time, even without revising it. One day, when Jirioku was just 9 months old, his father came to him and taught him the training method of wind-style chakra mode. This wasn't the first time his father had done something like this, as he used to teach Jirioku all sorts of ninjutsu to entertain him. Jirioku's father didn't know how to take care of a child, so he would explain all the ninjutsu with proper signs, hoping that it would keep Jirioku amused. Little did his father know that Jirioku was a quick learner and had already memorized all the ninjutsu that his father had taught him. From that day forward, Jirioku continued to learn all sorts of ninjutsu, and his photographic memory helped him to retain all the knowledge he gained along the way. Jirioku isn't content to simply follow his father's path. Instead, he aims to create a brand new type of chakra mode known as the Storm Chakra mode. When he tested his chakra nature, he discovered that he had two types of chakra, thunder and wind. By skillfully combining these two elements, he believes he can develop the storm chakra mode. With his sharp intellect and exceptional memory, Jirioku is confident that he can successfully achieve his ambitious goal. With this thought in mind, Jirioku continued his life as before, training during the day to increase template progress and going to the Ichiraku ramen shop in the evening. After refining his chakra at night, he slept. Time flew by like a horse, and 2 years passed in this manner. Jirioku, now 6 years old, was practicing with his sword in the open space outside his house. At that moment, a ninja wearing a chunin vest approached. He observed Jirioku, whose height was no less than that of an 8-year-old. The ninja had come to meet Jirioku because it was a rule of the Ninja Academy that every orphan with chakra refining talent should join. He came to ask Jirioku if he would like to join the Ninja Academy, as Jirioku is a special case. This chunin teacher was aware of Jirioku's condition, and as a result, he shook his head, believing that a blind person would be unable to achieve anything significant in their life. He anticipated that Jirioku would reject the offer to join the Ninja Academy, fully expecting to hear a refusal when Jirioku arrived. As the ninja was preparing to speak, he abruptly halted his train of thought and decided to test Jirioku's abilities. He sought out some stones nearby, picked them up, and flung them towards Jirioku, mimicking the motion of throwing shuriken. However, Jirioku had already vanished from his original position before the stones could even make contact with him. The chunin teacher was taken aback by Jirioku's swift and agile movements. The chunin teacher was just about to begin searching for Jirioku when he suddenly felt a sharp object pressing against his neck. Jirioku had emerged out of nowhere and was now standing behind the stunned chunin teacher, holding his sword against Chunin's neck. The chunin teacher was astonished at Jirioku's speed and prowess, realizing that his initial assumptions about Jirioku's abilities were entirely unfounded. Jirioku's voice remained flat and emotionless as he spoke his words of warning to the chunin. If you had harbored any hostile intentions towards me, I would have swiftly separated your head from your body. He then calmly withdrew his sword from the startled chunin's neck and proceeded to ask, "Now, tell me, what is your purpose for coming here?" Chapter 11. Now, tell me, what is your purpose for coming here? After hearing this question, the ninja teacher came back to his senses and spoke, "I came here on behalf of the Ninja Academy, and I am here to ask you if you are planning to enroll in the academy. As a blind person, theory classes are useless to me. However, when it comes to combat classes, I would be interested in attending the Ninja Academy. But if there are rules that require attending both theoretical and combat classes, then I refuse," said Jirioku. "I cannot make any decisions regarding this matter, so I will have to consult my seniors for further information," said the chunin ninja. You are right," Jirioku simply nodded. The chunin teacher stood there without moving, so Jirioku asked, "Do you need some kind of invitation to leave?" "Huh? No, not at all." "Ha ha ha," the chunin teacher laughed awkwardly and left in a hurry. After the chunin teacher left, Jirioku continued his training. Upon completing his goal for the day, he sat quietly on the grass. "System, open my character panel," said Jirioku. Ding! Name, Hyuga Jirioku. Chakra, Chunin level. Template, Isho Fujitora, 11.01%. Strength, Chunin, Elite Chunin. Daily task, increase template by 0.02%. Swing sword, 0/1000. Run, 0/20 mile. Push-ups, 0 out of 100. Note, as your strength improves, the difficulty of task will also increase. After viewing his system panel, Jirioku smiled. When his template reached 10%, two things happened. First, his daily template progress increased from 0.015% to 0.02%. Secondly, he activated his Devil Fruit ability, which is why his base strength is Chunin, while his overall strength is Elite Chunin. The teacher hurriedly ran back to the Ninja Academy and then proceeded to the Hokage's office where Hiruzen was working. "As per your orders, Master Hokage, I invited every orphan who met the requirements. And as you had instructed, I asked Jirioku if he would join the Ninja Academy. His response was that if he were to attend, he would only participate in taijutsu classes. As a blind person, he finds theoretical classes useless. If he can't exclusively attend taijutsu classes, then he would rather not join the Ninja Academy, the Chunin explained in one breath. Anything else? Asked Hiruzen. The Chunin teacher became embarrassed, caught in a dilemma. Should he admit that he was defeated by a blind person, let alone a brat? Observing the teacher's embarrassed expression, Hiruzen spoke with a smile. You truly embodied the spirit of the will of fire. But still, is there anything that I don't deserve to know? With a sense of embarrassment, the Chunin teacher recounted everything that had transpired during his encounter with Jirioku. So, you're saying that he was able to defeat you solely by using his swordsmanship and physical strength? Asked the Hokage. Yes, replied the Chunin teacher. Hiruzen pondered for a moment and then spoke, Okay, you may go. I will meet him myself. The Chunin teacher was shocked. He never expected the Hokage himself to show such concern. Afterward, the Chunin teacher left the Hokage's office. In the evening, as he did every day, Jirioku went to the Ichiraku ramen shop. Welcome, Jirioku. As always, your chasu ramen will be ready, Ichiraku said as soon as Jirioku entered. Jirioku entered and took a seat, waiting for his ramen. You are such a good boy. Ichiraku has told me many good things about you, Jirioku heard an elderly voice. Thank you for the compliment, but I don't believe I know you, Jirioku said. At that moment, Ichiraku arrived with the ramen and handed it to Jirioku. After hearing Jirioku's question, Ichiraku said, Jirioku, this is Hokage-sama. Upon hearing Ichiraku's words, Jirioku immediately stood up from his seat and bowed in the direction of Hiruzen. He said, I'm sorry, Hokage-sama. I didn't know it was you. In a grandfatherly manner, Hiruzen spoke, Sit down and have a seat. I am like a grandfather, aren't I? Hiruzen then asked, So, how is your life going? Jirioku responded, Yes, I am living a good life thanks to your leadership and my parents' hard work. I am glad to hear that, said Hiruzen with a smile. Afterward, they both ate in silence. Finally, when they were both ready to leave, Hiruzen spoke, Jirioku, what is your motivation for becoming stronger? For me, my goal to become stronger is very simple, to become the strongest person to have ever existed, said Jirioku. What are your thoughts on the village? Asked Hiruzen. Konoha village has given me a place to live. It's where my parents were born and died, fighting for it. So, it's only natural for me to repay everything it has given me, said Jirioku. Only Jirioku knew if what he said was a pun. Hiruzen nodded in satisfaction and said, I have approved your request to only attend taijutsu classes. Thank you, Hokage-sama, said Jirioku humbly. Chapter 12. After the talk with Jirioku, Hiruzen left, and Jirioku also went home. Nothing changed in Jirioku's life after the talk with the Hokage. He continued his training. Finally, the day of the Ninja Academy's opening arrived. Jirioku was also going today, as on the first day, there would be a competition among the students. This competition would help in finding a genius among the civilians and ninjas who could potentially become the backbone of the Konoha village. When Jirioku reached the Ninja Academy, he could feel that there were many people present today. It was obvious, as it was the first day of school, and the students must have come with their parents. He stood silently in a corner, waiting for the assessment. When the time for the assessment was almost upon him, he suddenly felt sharp gazes directed towards him, filled with hostility. Jirioku wasn't able to determine who the person was, so he just let it be and didn't bother with it. Finally, a ninja came and spoke, Every student here to enroll in the Ninja Academy, please follow me. After hearing the words of the ninja teacher, all the students started following him to the starting point of a racing court. Parents also stood on the sidelines, cheering for their children. Jirioku was also standing at the front line. Suddenly, the person who had shown hostility towards him came near him and spoke, Although you escaped that curse-marked cage bird, for your whole life, you will remain an inferior ninja destined to achieve nothing. Oh, Mr. Hisashi's son, Hyuga Niji, correct, said Juryoku with a smile. Humph, Niji snorted in response to Juryoku's words. And as for me being an inferior ninja my whole life, we will see that in the actual combat session, said Juryoku calmly. Finally, the academy teacher announced the start of the race. As the race began, Niji took an early lead with a confident expression on his face. However, before he could feel proud of his achievement, Juryoku swiftly surpassed him. Without even giving Niji a chance to react, Juryoku left him far behind. A 1-mile race was like child's play to Juryoku, who had a habit of running 10 miles per day. Without a doubt, Juryoku secured first place in the race, leading Niji in disbelief. Niji snorted while looking at Juryoku, but Juryoku simply shook his head at Niji's reaction. The academy teacher announced the results: first place, Juryoku; second place, Hyuga Niji; and third place, Rock Lee. The academy teacher didn't mention Juryoku's title, only his first name, as he was aware of Juryoku's condition. Next, the academy teacher announced the next round of competition, the throwing tool competition. Each student took turns throwing shurikens and kunai, and when it was Juryoku's turn, everyone was perplexed to see his eyes closed. Some children who knew about Juryoku's situation whispered to the person next to them, spreading the information among the students. Juryoku picked up the shurikens, threw them one by one, and hit the bullseye with each throw. Everyone present was shocked to witness someone who was blind outperforming Hyuga Niji, who is member of Hyuga clan. Hyuga Niji hit 2 bullseyes and one just outside the bullseye. Seeing Juryoku outperform him again, Niji clenched his fist with unwillingness in his eyes. Finally, the second round was over, and the academy teacher announced the results: first place, Juryoku; second place, Hyuga Niji; and third place, Tintin. Now, if any of you want to challenge someone, you can challenge that person, and if they agree to your challenge, you fight them. As soon as the academy teacher's words fell, Niji immediately shouted, "I want to challenge Juryoku." The academy teacher then looked towards Juryoku and spoke, "Do you accept his challenge?" Juryoku replied calmly, "I have no problem accepting his challenge." The academy teacher then took both of them to a temporary stage created for the battle. Juryoku and Niji stood opposite each other on the stage. In the crowd, people were discussing who would win, and everyone believed that Niji would win. Even though Juryoku had come first in both rounds of the competition, no one believed that he would win. They thought that Juryoku was only able to perform well because he had practiced on immobile objects and became perfect at it. However, since this was a combat situation, it was believed to be impossible for Juryoku to win. Hyuga Niji drew his kunai and attacked Juryoku with great speed. However, Juryoku effortlessly parried each of Niji's attacks with his sword sheath. Niji attempted to increase his speed and launch attacks on Juryoku from different directions in order to put pressure on him, but he was unable to do so. Niji quickly created a clone to attack Juryoku from one direction while using the clone to confuse Juryoku's senses. However, Juryoku paid no attention to the clone and could easily discern the real Niji from the avatar. He took out a kunai and threw it towards the avatar, causing it to immediately explode in a cloud of white smoke. Meanwhile, he effortlessly parried Niji's attacks. Niji was slightly panting and decided to use a particular move, even though he hadn't mastered it completely. He believed that he could never lose to someone he despised. Gentle Fist Art, 8 trigrams 8 palms. Juryoku was within Niji's range, and a trigram formed beneath both of them. Niji attacked Juryoku with his Gentle Fist technique at an incredibly fast speed, but Juryoku skillfully slapped away Niji's hand every time it approached his body. In this way, Niji's trump card failed to inflict even the slightest injury on Juryoku, leaving him in shock as he looked at Juryoku. Chapter 13, Juryoku held Niji's right hand with his left hand, leaving his stick standing straight and his right hand free. He then spoke to Niji, saying, "Now that you're done dancing, it's my turn." With Chakra attached to his right hand, he fiercely slapped Niji's chest, causing Niji to be sent flying. Just as Niji was about to fall out of the arena, Jirioku appeared beside him at a very fast speed and slapped his back, causing him to fall in the center of the battle arena with great speed and force. Visible cracks appeared on the surface of the arena, and Niji's condition was not good. In just 2 slaps from Jirioku, Niji started coughing blood. The chakra-infused slaps had done considerable damage to his body. Jirioku calmly walked up to Niji, grabbed his hair with his right hand, making Niji look at him, and said, "If you show hostility towards those weaker than you, they will fear you. The fear of 'is he going to kill me?' will make them even weaker. But if you show hostility towards someone stronger than you will meet your end, and that is death. So, don't you dare show hostility towards me, at least not until you are strong." After saying this, he forcefully slammed Niji's head to the ground, causing his forehead to bleed profusely. Niji either passed out from the pain or from blood loss. Once Niji had passed out, Jirioku calmly walked over to his sword. At this moment, the Ninja Academy teacher regained his senses, realizing that everything Jirioku had done had been so fast that he couldn't react. The teacher immediately entered the battle arena and checked Niji's injuries. A ninja from the Hyuga clan followed closely behind, examining Niji's condition as well. The Hyuga ninja then looked towards Jirioku and angrily asked, "Why use such excessive force in a practice match?" Anger was clearly visible on his face. Jirioku didn't answer the question. Instead, he calmly picked up his sword, turned towards the Hyuga ninja, drew his sword from its scabbard, and said, "This is what I'm best at, and I didn't even use it once. So, you can imagine how much mercy I showed Hyuga Niji. And for showing hostility towards me, this is the price he has to pay." As the Hyuga ninja was about to continue arguing with Jirioku, Jirioku raised his hand and said, "Instead of wasting your time talking to me, you should take him to the hospital. I don't want to be charged with a crime for killing a fellow villager." Upon hearing Jirioku's words, the Hyuga ninja clenched his fist but knew his priority. He immediately looked at Niji and left the Ninja Academy, heading towards the Konoha Hospital. Jirioku approached the area where the other enrolled students were standing. The students, with fear on their faces, kept their distance from him. Jirioku wasn't surprised by such a display of cruelty. It was understandable that 6-year-old students would fear him. Inside the Hokage's office, Hiruzen stood smoking his pipe when suddenly an ANBU ninja appeared behind him and handed him a scroll. "Hokage-sama, this scroll contains all the events that happened in the Ninja Academy," said the kneeling ANBU ninja. Hiruzen calmly took the scroll and read it carefully. The scroll contained detailed information about everything that was said and by whom. When Hiruzen read Jirioku's thoughts on weakness and strength, he was impressed. "What a pity. If he wasn't blind, I could have included him in my Hokage line," sighed Hiruzen. Suddenly, Hiruzen had a thought, what if I send Naruto to live with Jirioku? But then he reconsidered, I can't do this. Jirioku is really intelligent, and his extreme ideas of freedom might have a disastrous effect on Naruto and the village of Konoha. Okay, let's leave him alone and focus on Naruto, said Hiruzen. Danzo, like Hiruzen, also received the news, but he didn't bother with Jirioku as he had more important matters to attend to, such as the Uchiha family. Hyuga Hayashi also received news of Niji being injured and taken to the Konoha hospital for treatment. But when he heard that Niji was safe and sound, Hayashi heaved a sigh of relief. Niji was the only remaining symbol of his younger brother. And so, for days passed, and many people came to the Ninja Academy. Niji also came, having somewhat recovered from his injuries. However, Jirioku was nowhere to be seen. They thought he might be late, but even after the academic classes started, he still didn't show up. This curiosity led Niji to ask the question, Sensei, I don't see Jirioku present here. Oh, Jirioku has been granted permission to attend only the taijutsu classes since he is blind. Theoretical classes are useless for him, explained the teacher. Niji clenched his fist with reluctance. Although Jirioku is blind, it doesn't mean that he should be granted permission solely out of sympathy. He must have shown potential, and after being defeated by Jirioku, Niji also understood why the village allowed such a thing. And so, Jirioka's life continued with his regular routine of attending the Ninja Academy for taijutsu classes and engaging in rigorous training sessions that stretched throughout the day. In addition to his dedication to his ninja studies, Jirioku often found solace and nourishment in the comforting atmosphere of the Ichiraku ramen shop, where he would indulge in the delicious bowls of steaming ramen, savoring each bite as it replenished his energy and rejuvenated his spirit. Chapter 14. Time passed in a hurry. It had been 3 years since Jirioku fought with Niji. After the fight with Niji, Jirioku started attending the ninja school regularly, but only for the taijutsu classes. However, as time went on, he even stopped going to the Ninja Academy regularly because there were hardly any opponents who could give him a good fight. Niji tried challenging him many times but was met with total defeat. After Lee became Dai's apprentice, he also challenged Jirioku time and time again. Niji learned from his first fight with Jirioku and never showed even a hint of hostility towards him. Guy also approached Jirioku and asked him to become his apprentice, but Jirioku rejected his offer. As always, Jirioku was training in the open space outside his house. Finally, after 5 years of training, he had mastered the Storm Chakra mode. Although it was difficult for him, he was finally able to master it. Not only that, but in his sword training, he had reached the realm of cutting iron. Jirioku stood quietly, waved his sword blessed with Storm Chakra, and swung it towards the trees, cleanly cutting 2 of them in half. Jirioku walked back to his house, and at that moment, Niji approached him from behind and used the gentle fist to attack Jirioku. However, Jirioku easily dodged Niji's attack and caught his hand. Jirioku turned towards Niji and released his hand, asking, "What brings you here?" "Tomorrow is an important day." Irika-sensei asked students from senior classes to fight against students from junior classes to teach them humility and prevent arrogance, replied Niji, holding his wrist as Jirioku had gripped it tightly. After conveying the message, Niji left, as they didn't have much of a friendship that would lead to sitting and talking together. After Niji left, Jirioku returned to his home and asked the system, "Open my character panel." As Jirioku spoke, a notification sounded. Ding! Name, Hyuga Jirioku. Chakra, Jonin level. Template, Isho Fujitora, 32.91%. Strength, Jonin, Elite Jonin. Ability, Storm Chakra Mode, Observation Haki, Intermediate, Armament Haki, Elementary, Swordsmanship, Cutting Iron. Daily Task, Increase Template by 0.02%. Swing Sword, 0/1000, *3x gravity. Run, 0/20 miles, *3x gravity. Push-ups, 0 out of 100, *3x gravity. Note, as your strength improves, the difficulty of tasks will also increase. At this moment, the system, which usually doesn't speak, suddenly spoke. Ding! It is detected that the time for the Uchiha Massacre is approaching. It is advisable for the host to acquire 10 pairs of 3 Tomo Sharingan during the chaos. Jirioku raised his eyebrows and asked, "Give me a proper reason for this, or else I am not going to risk exposing my identity just for 10 pairs of Sharingan." Ding! These 10 pairs of 3 Tomo Sharingan will be very important when your template reaches 100%. If you want to further enhance your strength, you will need not only 10 pairs of Sharingan but also 10 pairs of Byakugan. Okay, I will collect 10 pairs of Sharingan, and the Byakugan will be for the future, said Jirioku. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the Evolving Amplifier mark. Stage 1, the EAM grants the user a significant power boost, doubling their existing abilities. Stage 2, as the user grows accustomed to the mark's power, the EAM enters its second stage. Stage 3, after reaching a certain level of mastery and growth, the EAM enters its final stage, granting the user an astounding 5-fold increase in power. This came as a surprise to Jirioku. He wasn't expecting the system to reward him with the EAM. Ding! Only a brave person gets rewarded, while a coward always gets nothing. That day, Jirioku went to Ichiraku ramen shop. Upon seeing Jirioku, Ichiraku smiled and went to prepare his favorite chasu ramen. "So, how are your days going?" asked Ichiraku with a smile, while handing Jurioku his ramen bowl. "Thanks to your tasty and healthy ramen, my days are going fantastic and couldn't be better than this," replied Jurioku with a smile. At that moment, a boy with yellow hair entered the Ichiraku shop. Seeing him, Ichiraku called out, "Hey Naruto, come here." Naruto approached Jurioku, sat down, and said, "Ramen uncle, give me a bowl of ramen, and here, take this 50% off discount coupon." Jurioku paused for a moment upon hearing Naruto's words but then continued eating his ramen. Ichiraku went inside and came back with Naruto's ramen. Naruto noticed that Jurioku was eating the same ramen that he eats and couldn't help but ask, "Do you also like eating miso ramen with extra chasu?" Jurioku stopped eating and said, "Yes, my favorite ramen is miso ramen." After saying that, he continued eating, not wanting to engage in conversation with Naruto. At that moment, Ichiraku said to Jurioku, "Do you remember the coupon you refused to take and said to give it to someone who needs it?" "So, I gave it to him." Jurioku nodded after hearing Ichiraku's words. Chapter 15. After eating his fill, Jurioku left the Ichiraku ramen shop. Just as he stepped outside, he heard a girl's voice from behind, saying, "Here, take these ingredients for tomorrow. I also made something special for you. Let me know how it tastes tomorrow after you've eaten." "Thank you, said Jurioku as he took the ingredients for the next day. After that, he left. Stood there, looking at Jurioku's back. She always took care of him like an elder sister and felt pained whenever she saw Jurioku, blind and relying solely on his perception to walk. After Jurioku left, Naruto asked Ichiraku, "Who was that cold-looking guy? He didn't even speak a single word. And why did he always keep his eyes closed? Doesn't he like to eat with his eyes open?" Ichiraku explained everything about Jurioku, and Naruto, after listening to his life experiences, also felt sympathetic towards him. After that, Naruto too left for his house. The next morning, Jurioku woke up and headed to the Ninja Academy. Upon reaching the academy, he encountered Lee on the way and followed him to the Chunin exam arena, where students from senior and junior classes had gathered. Jurioku thought that his arrival in this world could be a butterfly effect since, as far as he remembered, nothing like this had happened in the original series where Team 7 met Neji and others during the Chunin exam for the first time. As soon as Jurioku entered, everyone in his class wore fearful expressions on their faces. They started whispering among themselves, saying things like, "Why the hell did this devil come?" said one student. "I thought he wouldn't participate in a competition where we have to fight our juniors since he disdains fighting someone weaker than him." These students were not talking nonsense. Jurioku had earned the reputation of being a devil because whenever someone showed disdain towards him or made fun of his blindness, he made that person miserable in a fight. This caused the students to fear him. The main reason he created a narrow-minded persona for himself was that even if people from the Hyuga clan or Danzo doubted that he was suppressing his anger and hiding his shrewdness, they would not have this doubt anymore. Someone with such a narrow mind could not contain his anger and hide his emotions. Jurioku didn't know, but his trick actually worked. Finally, Irika came with Mizuki and stood on a high platform, announcing, "Everyone, today you can fight any of your senior class members to test their strength. I must tell you that Jurioku is the chief student, followed closely by Hyuga Neji, and third is Lee. This ranking is based on their strength." The first person to challenge was Uchiha Sasuke, also the chief student of the junior class. He stepped forward and directly challenged, "I want to fight the chief student of the senior class, Jurioku." Mizuki then turned towards Jurioku and asked, "Would you accept the challenge from Uchiha Sasuke?" Jurioku outright rejected it, saying, "He is not worth my time." Mizuki replied with a kind face, "You should at least provide some guidance to the juniors. I never fight weaklings, not even you, the teacher in the academy, are worth my time," Jurioku stated matter-of-factly. Hearing Jurioku's words, Mizuki maintained his smile, but in his heart, he cursed all of Jurioku's ancestors. "Then just accept that you are weaker than me," Sasuke said confidently. Jiraiya disappeared from where he was standing and reappeared behind Sasuke, placing his hand on Sasuke's shoulder. He spoke, "What were you just saying?" Sasuke's face changed, and he immediately moved away from where he was standing. Since Jiraiya wasn't holding him tightly, Sasuke was able to move freely. He was covered in sweat and looked at Jiraiya as if he had seen a ghost. One moment, he had a confident smile on his face, and the next moment, it transformed into a fearful expression. At that moment, a sudden shout rang out, "Bastard, don't underestimate our junior class. I, Uzumaki Naruto, will defeat you." Naruto came running at a very fast speed, assuming a punching stance. However, as he approached Jiraiya, Jiraiya kicked him in the stomach, causing Naruto to be sent flying. After rolling on the ground a few times, Naruto came to a stop. He was clutching his stomach and growling in pain. At that moment, a thin line of shadow approached Jiraiya. Just as the shadow was about to touch Jiraiya's shadow, he disappeared using the body flicker technique. When he reappeared, he was standing behind a boy with a pineapple haircut who was controlling the shadow. Jiraiya asked, "What are you trying to do?" Shikamaru gave a wry smile and turned towards Jiraiya, saying, "I had heard that your blindness never hinders your combat abilities. It seems this is true." Chapter 16. At the same time, Iruka checked for any injuries on Naruto, despite harboring some dislike for him deep in his heart. However, as a teacher, he couldn't neglect his students' injuries. Seeing that Naruto was fine, he felt relieved and left Naruto to rest. At that moment, Jiraiya spoke up, saying, "If this whole display of power to juniors and suppressing their arrogance is over, can I leave?" "No, today we have an extra class where we will be discussing different combat methods," Iruka replied. Just as he was about to continue speaking, Jiraiya interrupted him and said, "First of all, I am not bound by the rules that require me to stay here. I still have to complete my training for today, and staying here would only hinder my progress. So, I am asking for your permission to leave." Although Jiraiya said this calmly, everyone present could hear the underlying tone in his voice. He was asking permission from Iruka out of respect, not because he needed it. If he wanted to, he could leave without giving any reasons, and no one could stop him. Iruka sighed in response and said, "Okay, you may go." Upon receiving confirmation from Iruka, Jiraiya immediately left using the body flicker technique. After leaving, the first thing he did was go to the face mask shop. He needed to buy a mask for his actions today. Only ninjas from the Hyuga clan have the ability to see through the mask. Since there might be some Hyuga clan members present, as Danzo wouldn't want any Uchiha ninja to escape, the Hyuga clan would also support this plan for becoming the so-called number clan of Konoha. However, Jiraiya knew that it wouldn't be a member of the branch family, and their range of Byakugan would be at most 1 kilometer. After training his observation haki for almost 5 years, he could perceive everything within a 2-kilometer radius. This would ensure that he wouldn't encounter any future trouble, and he planned to eliminate anyone he found from the Hyuga clan to prevent any potential issues. After obtaining a mask and a cloak, Jiraiya returned to his house. In his perception, he could sense a large number of ninjas positioned strategically to reach the Uchiha family compound easily. The magnitude of this movement was too significant to go unnoticed, and it was unlikely that the Hokage was unaware of such a massive mobilization. Upon returning home, Jiraiya first completed his daily tasks. At night, Jiraiya quietly waited 500 meters away from the barrier surrounding the Uchiha clan compound. He could sense a high number of casualties occurring inside the compound at a rapid pace. 2 powerful individuals were specifically responsible for this killing spree, Itachi and Obito. They were eliminating members of their own clan in pursuit of the so-called peace within their hearts. After Obito finished his rampage, he also extracted the Sharingan eyes from the slain Uchiha clan members. Finally, after half an hour, the once renowned number 1 clan of Konoha had been completely slaughtered. At that moment, a boy of around 8 years old was approaching the direction of the Uchiha clan compound, muttering to himself, "When my brother comes, I must ask him to train me so that I can defeat that bastard Jirioku myself and seek revenge for today's humiliation. The Uchiha clan's name cannot be tarnished. However, as he entered the Uchiha compound, he sensed an unusual stillness. Suddenly, a sense of unease washed over him, and he ran towards his house. Along the way, he encountered the lifeless bodies of Uchiha clan members. Witnessing this gruesome sight intensified his uneasiness, prompting him to increase his speed. When he reached his house, he found his brother standing while their parents lay on the ground, covered in blood. "Brother, what happened?" "Both mother and father are dead." "How?" said Sasuke while crying. After tormenting Sasuke by showing how he killed his whole clan and torturing Sasuke with his Mangekyo Sharingan, Itachi left the house to inform others that he had completed his mission. Meanwhile, Jirioku continued to wait. He knew that making a move now would raise alarms among others, including the Hokage, which he wanted to avoid. That's why his first step was to let the root ninjas spread the news of the Uchiha clan massacre. Once they had gathered the Sharingan, he would make his move. Finally, after half an hour, a root ninja arrived after informing Danzo, tasked with retrieving all the Sharingan. The root ninjas diligently carried out Danzo's orders and gathered all the Sharingan, placing them in a specially prepared box. "Okay, we have completed Danzo-sama's orders. Let's go," the leader of the root ninja team ordered. "Yes," they replied. Just as they were about to depart, they suddenly sensed an approaching presence. The sound of wind and thunder filled the air, resembling a raging storm. Instantly, they became alert. However, before they could react, a streak of blue light passed through the root ninja holding the box of Sharingan, separating his head from his body. Chapter 17. Root members were startled as they laid eyes upon a mysterious figure adorned in a flowing black cloak, concealing their identity, and a fearsome monster mask tightly secured to their face. "Who are you and why are you attacking Konoha?" asked the captain of this operation. Although words escaped the captain's lips, his subordinates instinctively grasped their duties, swiftly preparing to sound the alarm within the barrier still encompassing the Uchiha clan compound. Unbeknownst to the root members, every detail of their actions was meticulously observed by Jirioku. Gravity manipulation. Jirioku manipulated the gravity around the members of root and increased it by 5 times, making them almost immobile. He also decreased the weight of his own body by reducing gravity around him by 5 times. At a fast speed, he attacked the members of root. The velocity of his strikes was astonishing, enhanced by the amplified gravity that reduced the movements of root ninjas to a lethargic crawl. This advantageous circumstance further facilitated Jirioku's lethal endeavors, fueled by his utilization of the formidable Storm Chakra mode. With unfathomable speed, he systematically eliminated each root member present in the vicinity, leaving naught but a trail of swift demise in his wake. Just as the last 2 members of root were about to meet their demise at the hands of Jirioku, suddenly a barrage of shuriken tied with explosive tags came hurtling towards him. In response, Jirioku swiftly unleashed a gravity pulse, generating shockwaves through the manipulation of gravity. The force of the shockwaves pushed everything back, causing the shuriken to be repelled and fall in the direction of the root ninjas. Caught off guard, the root ninjas were left embarrassed as they hastily dodged the incoming projectiles. Seizing the opportunity while they were occupied with evasion, Jirioku swiftly ended the lives of the remaining root ninjas who had previously escaped his clutches due to the intervention of their comrades attacking him at that time. Even though the root ninjas were taken aback and had to dodge the explosion caused by the explosive tag, they were elite ninjas who quickly surrounded Jirioku. Simultaneously evading attacks, they launched a barrage of ninjutsu in his direction, including Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu, Fire Style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu, and Wind Style, Great Breakthrough. Through his keen observation haki, Jirioku perceived these incoming ninjutsu and tapped his sword upon the ground. As he did, the earth began to rise, forming a protective barrier that shielded him within. Additionally, he increased the gravity around the barrier, further fortifying its defenses. As the effects of the ninjutsu subsided, Jirioku suddenly heard the distinct sound of sizzling, multiple sizzles, to be precise. He immediately realized that it was the sound of explosive tags, and if he were caught in their explosion, certain death would be his fate. Inwardly regretting his decision to employ this defensive move, as it also confined him like a coffin, Jiraiya found himself with only one option left: gravity pulse. Without hesitation, he activated the technique, channeling even greater strength into it. The Earth's surface, which had been covering him, was repelled from his center, hurtling towards the group of root ninjas. However, this time they were prepared, swiftly employing the body flicker technique to swiftly vacate the area. As the effect of the gravity pulse subsided, the root ninjas launched an immediate assault on Jiraiya. Sensing their approach, Jiraiya anticipated their movements and, as they closed in, he unleashed the Storm Slash technique. A powerful slash surged forth, traveling in a single direction, striking those who were in close proximity. Only those at a certain distance managed to evade this devastating move. On the other side, the remaining root ninjas disregarded the demise of their comrades, viewing it as an opportunity to seize upon Jiraiya. However, to their astonishment, when 3 root ninjas approached within a 3-meter range of Jiraiya, they became severely slowed down by the gravitational force surrounding him. Before they could react, all 3 suffered fatal wounds inflicted by Jiraiya, leading to their demise. There were initially 30 root ninjas present inside the Uchiha compound, entrusted with the task of confiscating the Sharingan and disposing of the bodies of Uchiha clan members. However, now only 14 root ninjas remained, consisting of 5 Jonins and the remaining elite Chunins within their group. One of the root ninjas, pointing at a Jonin and 3 elite Chunin, commanded, "Go and inform Master Danzo about this situation and request further orders." All 3 of them nodded, preparing to depart. However, at that very moment, Jiraiya, who had remained silent for whole time, spoke up, declaring, "Who gave you permission to leave? Every single one of you shall find your final resting place here, and no one shall be allowed to escape." As Jiraiya uttered these words, a black circle manifested on his wrist, indicating the activation of the first stage of the evolving amplifier mark, EAM, which doubled his current strength. With determination in his voice, he invoked his ability, commanding, Gravity Field. Chapter 18. Within a 30-meter radius of Jiraiya, the air crackled with an intense gravitational force, causing the ninjas from Root to instantly feel the weight of 6 times the normal gravity. Sensing their impending doom, they braced themselves as Jiraiya unleashed his technique, the Storm Slash. Despite their valiant efforts to defend themselves, the Root members found themselves powerless against Jiru's onslaught. The devastating power of the Storm Slash cut through their defenses, claiming the lives of several Root members in a single stroke. Jiraiya, displaying his mastery over gravity, strategically left the remaining Root members trapped within the merciless gravity field, ensuring their escape was impossible. He swiftly turned his attention to the Root members on the periphery, knowing they were their only chance for escape. Empowered by the Storm Chakra mode, Jiraiya became an unstoppable force, cutting through the Root members as effortlessly as slicing through vegetables. Each swing of his blade spelled death for the Root ninjas, leaving no member capable of withstanding more than 2 slashes. The battleground resounded with the clash of steel and cries of pain. Having killed every last Root member, Jiraiya stood in the aftermath of his triumph, his presence exuding both power and tranquility. The black circles on his hands, a testament to the first stage of EAM, enhanced active mode, dissipated into nothingness. Feeling weakness overtaking his body, he decided to leave immediately. He approached the box full of Sharingan and, with his command system tool, removed all the 3 Tomo Sharingan and the remaining 2 Tomo Sharingan that he didn't need. However, he refused to let Danzo get his hands on them, so he destroyed them using Thunder Chakra. With his task completed, Jiraiya vanished from the place. As Jiraiya disappeared into the night, the gravity field he had created slowly dissipated, returning the environment to its normal state. An eerie silence spread throughout Uchiha clan compound, a testament to the events that had unfolded. Finally, after 30 minutes, Hiruzen and Danzo arrived with members of the Umbu. When they saw the corpses of Uchiha clan members throughout the Uchiha clan compound, both felt a sense of satisfaction deep within their hearts. For Danzo, an evil family had been removed from Konoha, and he could now harness their power to unify the world. As for Hiruzen Sarutobi, a potential rebellion had been eliminated from the village. Hiruzen looked somber and turned towards the Umbu members, saying, "It seems Itachi has strayed from the path of the Will of Fire. Go and see if there are any survivors in the family," he said knowingly, aware that Itachi's brother, Sasuke, should still be alive. Upon hearing the Hokage's words, the Umbu members nodded in acknowledgement. While they remembered Itachi as a fellow member of the Umbu, they didn't have time to dwell on the past. They went to carry out the orders of the Hokage. After searching for 10 minutes, 2 Umbu ninjas came forward and respectfully knelt in front of Hiruzen. The one with white hair spoke, "There is one survivor in the Uchiha clan. His name is Uchiha Sasuke." Hiruzen nodded, as he had anticipated this outcome. It was part of the deal with Itachi. Hiruzen then addressed Kakashi, "Kakashi, take Uchiha Sasuke to the hospital. He must be traumatized after this incident." Kakashi nodded in response and left to fulfill his duty. After Kakashi departed, another Umbu member spoke, "We found the bodies of 30 Root Ninja members." Upon hearing this, Danzo's face changed, and he shouted at the Umbu member, "Why didn't you speak up sooner? Take me there!" However, the Umbu member remained in place, unfazed by Danzo's outburst. Recognizing Danzo's status as second only to the Hokage, Hiruzen calmly intervened, saying, "Go and lead us to the location." The Umbu ninja complied and guided them to the site. As they surveyed the deceased Root members, the Hiruzen commented, "It seems the attacker possessed a unique chakra nature combination of wind and thunder. If I'm not mistaken, it resembles the storm chakra nature transformation mastered by the third Raikage disciple. Their movements also appear to have been restricted by some means. Additionally, it seems that some of the eyes here are destroyed, likely Sharingan collected by the Root ninjas." Hiruzen, renowned as the professor of ninjutsu, wasted no time in analyzing every detail of the battle. As he explained, Danzo's gaze fell upon the eyes, and he felt a profound loss. While he didn't hold much regard for his subordinates, viewing them merely as tools, the Sharingan held a significance he couldn't dismiss. With a glimmer of hope, Danzo turned to the Umbu ninja and asked, "There must be intact Sharingan in most of the Uchiha clan members, correct?" The Umbu ninja replied, "No, I checked all the bodies, and no Sharingan was found." Danzo was filled with despair. Not only had he failed to obtain any Sharingan, but he had also lost elite members of his Root organization. Now, there were only about 20 surviving Root members under his command. Chapter 19, Hiruzen also knew about the situation with Danzo, and it couldn't be better. In recent times, after the Third Shinobi War, Danzo had accumulated too much power under him. Now, with the death of Root members and Shursui killing many of the Root elites a year ago, Danzo's power was almost hollowed out. Obviously, Hiruzen was not going to let Danzo accumulate more strength, especially not from Konoha. Although Hiruzen was happy about this, he couldn't allow such a powerful person to roam around in his village. So he ordered, "Shinosuke, go and search for the intruder. He mustn't have gone far, or else the intelligence department would have received the signal." "Yes," Shinosuke replied before leaving. After receiving the order from Shinosuke, a team was assembled for the search. They searched for traces of the enemy and eventually found a trail. Following it, they reached the Naka River. However, due to the river, it became impossible for them to search for clues. A few minutes ago, it was Juryoku who, after destroying his cloak and mask, jumped into the Naka River and escaped from another location using his gravity manipulation ability. Finally, at midnight, Juryoku reached his home. Although his fight seemed easy, it took a toll on him, and he was very tired and exhausted. He immediately fell asleep after lying on the bed. After an entire night of searching, no clues were found. It was concluded that the intruder had either left the Konoha village or was still hiding within it. Inside the village, they started searching cautiously, but they were unable to find anything about the intruder. However, they did uncover some spies lurking in Konoha, so their efforts weren't entirely wasted. Even after a week of searching yielding no results, the Hokage ordered the search for the intruder to be ceased. The Konoha village returned to a state of calm. Meanwhile, Jirioku, who was the culprit of all this, continued his training and lived his life as if nothing had happened. The funniest part was that one day, while he was eating at the Ichiraku ramen shop, the person beside him was captured by the Umbu, while the real culprit enjoyed his ramen. It had been 5 days since the Hokage's order to cease the search, and Jirioku was training at his house as usual. He heard a girl's voice behind him, saying, "I finally found you. Do you know how many times I had to ask the teachers to tell me your address?" Jirioku turned calmly towards Ino without saying anything and wiped sweat from his training. Ino was puzzled and said, "Hello. Didn't you hear me?" "State your purpose," Jirioku replied. "Hey, you heartless bastard. How can you talk to a beautiful girl like me like that?" Ino said with pride, emphasizing her beauty. "Maybe you are the most beautiful girl who ever existed, but what does it have to do with me? I'm a blind person for whom everyone is the same, except for their voice, which can sometimes be misleading," Jirioku calmly responded. When Ino heard that, her proud look was replaced with embarrassment, and she said, "Sorry, I didn't mean to make fun of your blindness." "As compensation, I will become your friend," Ino offered. "If you truly feel guilty, then don't bother me from today onwards," Jirioku replied before resuming his sword practice. Ino looked dejected after hearing Jirioku's words and left. At that moment, Shikamaru approached Ino from behind and said, "You really are an idiot. How can you flaunt your beauty in front of a blind man?" Ino, who was already upset from her encounter with Jirioku, glared at Shikamaru and clenched her fist. "Shikamaru, are you looking for a beating?" Shikamaru raised his head and said, "What a hassle." Inside Yamanaka Ino's house, during dinner, Ino asked her father, "Father, do you know someone named Jirioku?" Inoichi Yamanaka raised his eyebrows and asked, "Why do you ask?" "He is 1 year senior to me in the Ninja Academy," Ino replied. "His full name is Hyuga Jirioku," Inoichi added. "Huh, but then why doesn't he live in the Hyuga clan compound?" Ino wondered. After hearing Ino's question, Inoichi explained everything to her. Tears welled up in Ino's eyes as she listened to her father's words. "But why are you suddenly interested in him?" Ino's mother asked. Ino then shared her encounter with Jirioku, and upon hearing her words, Ino's mother said, "Don't worry, I will prepare a delicious meal, and you can take it to him. He will surely be happy." "Really? You're great." "I love you," Ino exclaimed. "What about me, my lovely daughter?" Inoichi chimed in. "You too," Ino replied. With laughter, the family's day came to an end. The next day, as promised, Ino's mother prepared a meal for Jirioku after Ino finished her day at the Ninja Academy. Chapter 20. Ino arrived with the bento box her mother had given her, heading towards the place where Jirioku was training. Jirioku sensed Ino's presence but didn't care and continued his training without stopping this time. Finally, when Jirioku completed his training and sat down to rest, Ino approached with the bento box. She handed it to Jirioku and said, "Here, I brought a bento box for you. It was specially prepared by my mother." Knowing Ino's stubborn nature and her determination to achieve her goals by any means, Jirioku decided not to argue with her. He simply replied, "Wait a moment." After saying this, he went inside his home, returned, and accepted the bento Ino had given him, eating it. After finishing the bento, Jirioku took money out of his pocket and while handing it to Ino, he said, "I know this money isn't enough to cover the cost of the bento, but please accept it." "No, how can I accept money from you?" "I brought this bento as an apology, not to sell it for money," replied Ino. "But I don't need your apology. As I mentioned yesterday, don't bother me, and that will be enough," said Jirioku. He continued, "This amount of money is almost 1/10 of my monthly allowance. Whenever you bring me this bento, out of respect for your mother and the food, I can't simply throw it away or reject it. So, I will pay for it every time, and if I'm unable to pay, then I'll have to work extra to earn the money." Ino had a tear-filled, crying face as she said, "You bully." She threw the money on the ground and ran away sobbing. After she fled, Shikamaru confronted Jurioku, saying, "Your behavior is truly cruel. It seems like you don't want to have any kind of relationship with anyone." Jurioku didn't comment on this. Shikamaru picked up the money Ino had thrown and handed it to Jurioku, saying, "Here's your money." Jurioku replied, "No, it's not my money. I gave it to her, and she threw it. It's her choice. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm tired after training." With that, Jurioku left and went inside his house. Shikamaru looked at Jurioku's retreating figure with a thoughtful expression and then headed to Ino's house. Upon reaching Ino's house, Shikamaru learned that Ino had locked herself in her room. After Ino's mother asked Shikamaru, he recounted everything that had happened at Jurioku's house. Ino's mother let out a sigh upon hearing this. When Yamanaka Inoichi heard about it, he became furious and almost went to teach Jurioku a lesson, but Ino's mother stopped him. Eventually, after comforting Ino, Inoichi decided to take her to Ichiraku ramen shop. As they reached the shop, Jurioku was leaving after finishing his ramen. Inoichi wanted to confront him, but Ino held him back and stopped him from attacking. Inoichi snorted at Jurioku, who didn't react and continued on his way home. All of this was witnessed by Ichiraku and Ayam. "2 bowls of ramen, one for me and one for my daughter," said Inoichi. "Based on both of your behaviors, it seems that you both know Jurioku and have strong opinions about him," remarked Ayam. "Yeah, who cares about that bastard?" Ino said angrily. "It seems your friendship was rejected by Jurioku," chuckled Ayam. "Don't hate him for this. He has been like this ever since I've known him, which is for the past 5 years. He cares about everyone around him but doesn't want to have relationships with them," Ayam explained. "Yeah, he is a very good boy, even though he doesn't show it. He cares about those whom he knows," Ichiraku added, bringing the ramen to the table. "No, he's a heartless bastard," Ino said. "Haha, very true, he really is," agreed Ichiraku. "Did he do something to you too?" Ino asked with interest. "Yeah, it was around when he first started coming to our shop. As he was blind, he would ask us to give him the ingredients and trusted us. So, we would give him all the ingredients at a low price. It went on for about a month, but then he somehow found out the real price. The next day, he came with the exact amount that we should have charged him for the entire month. We decided not to take it, but he placed the money on the table and said, 'I don't want anyone to pity me. I told you this before, but you're still pitying me. If it's like this, then I'll stop coming from tomorrow.' After that, he was about to leave, but I accepted his money, and since then, I never dared to lie to him about the prices. So, you can see how heartless he truly is," explained Ichiraku. At that moment, Shikaku and Shikamaru also arrived. Shikamaru said, "He is right. Here, take the money you threw. You picked that up? Since when did you lack money?" Ino said, her face twitching. "I picked it up and tried giving it to Jurioku, but he rejected it and said it's yours. He mentioned that you threw it and it doesn't matter to him," explained Shikamaru. "That bastard," Ino muttered as she took the money. Then, with determination on her face, she declared, "If he doesn't want to be friends with anyone, then I'm going to be one." Chapter 21. Inoichi was helpless after hearing his daughter's words, and others just smiled upon hearing Ino's words. After that, Ino left with Shikamaru to talk, and Inoichi and Shikaku left together. "Ino is just a child, she doesn't know, but it's obvious that the Hyuga clan will never let him live," said Inoichi while rubbing his head. "Leave what's going to happen in the future for the future. Don't worry too much," said Shikaku. "And besides, you're in the intelligence department, you can protect him if you want to," continued Shikaku. "It's not that easy, you know that better than me," said Inoichi. "Stop behaving as if he's your son-in-law." "Haha," said Shikaku. "Come, let's have a drink." After that, they both went to the restaurant to have a drink. The next morning, Jurioku was training as usual when Ino arrived. It was Sunday, so there were no classes that day. "Hi, rude guy," greeted Ino. Jirioka didn't stop and continued his training. "I know you don't want anyone to come near you, but you know life without friends is like a flower without sunlight, dull and devoid of vibrant colors. So, I've decided to become your friend and bring that vibrant color," said Ino. Jirioka stopped and without turning towards Ino, he said, "If you want a friend, then you'll only end up disappointed and wasting your time." "Whatever you say, but once I make a decision, I never go back on it," replied Ino firmly. Jirioka didn't comment on that, and days passed like this. Ino would come regularly to talk to Jirioku, even if Jirioku remained silent. Ino enjoyed the company of Jirioku, and whenever Jirioku prepared food for himself, he would also cook for Ino to eat. And so, days turned into months, and time went by. 1 year later, Jirioku was sitting after completing his training in the open space and muttered in his heart, "System show my character panel." Ding! Name, Hyuga Jirioku. Chakra, Elite Jonin level. Template, Isho Fujitora, 40.21%. Strength, Elite Jonin, Kage low level. Ability, Storm Chakra mode, Observation Haki, Advanced, Armament Haki, Intermediate, Swordsmanship, Flying Slash. Daily task, increase template by 0.03%. Swing sword, 0/1000, *5x gravity. Run, 0/20 miles, *5x gravity. Push-ups, 0 out of 100, *5x gravity. Note, as your strength improves, the difficulty of tasks will also increase. After 1 year, Jirioka's training progress had finally reached 40%, and his speed of improvement had increased from 0.02% to 0.03%, which was a significant improvement for his strength growth. If he were to battle the root members now, he was confident that he would win with much less effort. Jirioka gazed at the sky and murmured, "It's time." With determination in his eyes, he headed towards the Hokage building. He had made an appointment to meet with the Hokage the day before, and after a 30-minute wait, he was granted entry to the Hokage's office. "Good day, Hokage-sama," greeted Jirioku, showing the respect befitting a Hokage. "Ah, Jirioku, it's been many years since I saw you. You rarely attend theory classes. So, tell me, what is it that you want to discuss with me?" said Hiruzen with a smile. "Hokage-sama, I want to graduate. I desire to travel the world and gain combat experience," expressed Jirioku. Hearing Jirioku's words, the Hokage was taken aback. Graduating so early in peaceful times was uncommon. "But it's not a time of war. By remaining in the Ninja Academy, you can grow and learn how to become a proper ninja," advised Hiruzen. "But I have made up my mind. No one in the Ninja Academy poses a challenge for me, and the best way to grow stronger is to test myself in real battles," declared Jirioku firmly. Hiruzen gazed at Jirioku, sighed, and finally said, "All right, I will allow you to graduate. However, you will need a recommendation from a Jonin, and there is one more condition: you must defeat a Genin whose strength is comparable to a Chunin, despite not having been promoted." Hearing the Hokage's conditions, Jirioku nodded and requested leave. As he left the Hokage's office, he made his way to Niji's class and informed him about his early graduation plans and the requirement for a Jonin recommendation. Niji was shocked and clenched his fist, remembering how he had always been defeated by Jirioku. After informing Niji, Jirioku continued walking and contemplated. Niji, with his unwillingness, will surely approach Hayashi for early graduation, but his wish won't be granted. However, elders will learn about my application for graduation and the lack of a Jonin recommendation. The love of the Hyuga clan for me is evident, so the Hyuga clan will undoubtedly recommend me. And just as Jirioku had anticipated, the next morning, a recommendation letter from the Hyuga elder was found on Hiruzen's desk. Chapter 22. In the morning, an ANBU ninja approached Jirioku and informed him that his request for early graduation had been approved. His match with the Genin ninja was scheduled for noon in the Konoha training ground. After informing the ANBU ninja left. Jirioku got ready for the match but decided to complete his training before it. With that thought in mind, he headed to the training area where he usually trained. Around 11 a.m., when Jirioku just finished his training, Ino came running and stood in front of Jirioku. "You applied for early graduation today?" Ino asked. "Yes, to be precise, I applied for graduation yesterday, and it got approved for today. In 1 hour, I'll have my match with the Jinin," Jirioku replied. Ino didn't know what to say. She was unsure how to persuade him not to leave the Ninja Academy because it was her father who had warned, if Jirioku leaves the Ninja Academy, he will surely die. Although her father hadn't revealed the exact reason, she knew that if he said it, there must be a good reason for it. Timidly, she asked, "Why don't you reconsider and not graduate from the Ninja Academy? The academy offers valuable training, and there's still so much you can learn." "No need. This is something I decided a long time ago, so you don't have to interfere in my decision," Jirioku responded firmly before leaving for the training ground. As Jirioku left, Ino followed closely behind him. They arrived at the Konoha training ground. From Jirioku's observation haki, he was able to distinguish a few individuals present: the third Hokage, the Hyuga elder, and his class teacher. Jirioku noticed that Hiruzen's chakra was significantly weaker compared to yesterday. He concluded that it must be a shadow clone of Hiruzen since, as the Hokage, he likely had important matters to attend to instead of being present at this particular event. The Hyuga elder stepped forward and introduced himself, saying, "I am the Hyuga elder and the person appointed by the Hokage-sama to be the referee for this match." He looked towards Hokage Hiruzen, who simply nodded in response. The Hyuga elder continued, "Now, I would like to call Jirioku and Saimaru for the match." Jirioku positioned himself opposite Saimaru, who also stood ready to attack at any moment. At this point, Jirioku spoke, "Since you are the senior, please make the first move." Saimaru nodded in response and immediately launched an attack with his shurikens. However, Jirioku's swordsmanship skills allowed him to easily deflect the projectiles. Witnessing Jirioku's mastery of swordsmanship, everyone present was astonished. It was uncommon for a blind individual to possess such honed sword skills. Realizing that his shurikens were ineffective, Saimaru abandoned their use and opted for a ninjutsu instead. He performed the technique Earth Release, tearing earth turning palm. As Saimaru activated the jutsu, the ground beneath Jirioku's feet started to shift towards the center. However, Jirioku swiftly employed the shave technique, instantly evading the moving ground and reappearing behind Saimaru. With a precise strike, Jirioku cut through Saimaru's body. Yet, to Jirioku's expectation, Saimaru's body transformed into a wooden substitute, indicating that he had used the wood substitution technique to dodge the attack. Saimaru retaliated by employing the Earth Release, ground spike technique. As the spikes were about to impale Jirioku, he vanished and reappeared beside the Jinin, delivering a powerful kick that sent him crashing to the ground. The impact was so strong that the Jinin was unable to stand up. Jirioku remained calm and composed as he stated, "You lose." As if to confirm Jirioku's victory, the Hyuga elder spoke, "I announce that Jirioku is the winner of this match." "Yay!" shouted Ino from the sidelines. Although she couldn't persuade Jirioku to reconsider, she was overjoyed to see him win so easily. Everyone present joined in by applauding Jirioku's victory. Hiruzen stepped forward and handed Jirioku the forehead protector of Konoha village. He spoke about the Will of Fire and congratulated Jirioku on graduating from the Ninja Academy. Jirioku replied to Hiruzen's remarks with a perfunctory response. "Jirioku, you will be assigned to a team tomorrow. Since you graduated early, you'll have to join an existing team," Hiruzen informed him. "I will certainly adjust with my teammates," Jirioku replied. After nodding, Hiruzen left, and the Hyuga elder cast a deep gaze at Jirioku before departing as well. Jirioku's class teacher then approached him and said, "Although I haven't taught you much, I wish you success in your future." "Thank you for your well wishes," Jirioku responded. After the teacher left, Ino embraced Jirioku and exclaimed, "You are awesome." Ino was so delighted that if she were stronger than Jirioku, she would have lifted him up and danced around in celebration. After a few moments, Ino regained her composure and covered her face in embarrassment. Jirioku remained unfazed, his expression calm as ever. Without wasting any time, Jirioku began walking away. Observing Jirioku's departure, Ino couldn't help but ask, "Where are you going?" "Ichiraku ramen shop," Jirioku replied, continuing on his way. "Wait, I'm coming too," Ino exclaimed, quickly following behind Jirioku. Chapter 23. Upon Jirioku's arrival at the Ichiraku ramen shop, he was warmly welcomed by an enthusiastic Ichiraku and his daughter, Ayame. However, their expressions quickly shifted to shock and confusion upon noticing the Konoha forehead protector adorning Jirioku's arm. They were well aware of Jirioku's character and knew that he wouldn't be foolish enough to steal it. Just as the confusion settled in, Ino arrived on the scene and immediately noticed the perplexed looks on their faces. Without skipping a beat, she reassured them, saying, "Don't be surprised or confused. Jirioku is now officially a Genin, and he acquired the forehead protector after triumphing over." Ino went on to recount all the details of the recent events that had unfolded. "In honor of your graduation today, we're going to treat you to a special ramen," declared Ichiraku, his voice filled with excitement. "And don't worry about the bill, everything is on me. You must eat to your heart's content." "Making me eat to my full capacity?" "You might regret those words," replied Jirioku. "Oh, really? Well, let's see about that," challenged Ichiraku with a grin. And so, the feast commenced. Bowl after bowl of delicious ramen was served, and Jirioku devoured each one with unwavering determination. As the feast reached its conclusion, Ichiraku slumped to the ground, completely overwhelmed by the staggering amount of ramen consumed. Meanwhile, Jirioku sat calmly, with a stack of 54 empty ramen bowls beside him, having proven his voracious appetite. Ino and Ayame exchanged smiles, amused by the sight before them. Having eaten his fill, Jirioku bid farewell to the Ichiraku ramen shop and made his way back home. The following morning, Jirioku made his way to the Hokage building, eager to find out which team he would be assigned to. Upon arriving, he was instructed to wait, and after half an hour of anticipation, he heard a voice coming from behind him, asking, "Are you Jirioku?" "Yes, how can I assist you?" Jirioku responded. "I'm Hyuga Iroha. You've been assigned to my team." "Follow me," said Hyuga Iroha. With those words, he led Jirioku out of the Hokage building and towards a training ground. Finally arriving at the practice ground, Hyuga Iroha turned around and addressed the group, saying, "All right, everyone, it's time to introduce ourselves. I'll start. My name is Hyuga Iroha, a special Jonin of Konoha. As for my dreams and achievements, I'd prefer not to talk about them at the moment." Jirioku's other teammates, much to his surprise, were also from the Hyuga clan. Even the most oblivious person would sense that something was amiss. Nevertheless, Jirioku remained composed, not displaying any reaction to the situation. "As an established team, we won't waste time on menial tasks. We have already accepted a sea-level mission to eliminate bandits. Are you comfortable with that?" Iroha inquired. "Yes, I have no issues with that," Jirioku replied calmly. "Very well. We will gather at the gate of Konoha at noon," Iroha informed, before departing with the other two Hyuga members. Jirioku, too, left to make the necessary preparations for their upcoming journey. Within the confines of the Hyuga clan compound, Iroha and the other two Hyuga members knelt before the Hyuga elder. The atmosphere was solemn as they awaited the elder's instructions. The Hyuga elder spoke in a commanding tone. "For the next few days, your task is to observe Jirioku closely and assess his strength. After a month, we will issue a bounty for Jirioku. During the ensuing battle, all of you will sustain serious injuries." He then turned to one of the Chunin present and added, "In that skirmish, your hand will be mutilated. But fret not, you will be provided a comfortable life." Understanding the gravity of the elder's words, everyone in the room nodded in agreement. They departed to make the necessary preparations for their mission that day. At noon, Jirioku arrived, but this time he sported a custom-made outfit. He donned a black yukata, which he paired with a white double-breasted coat embellished with gold buttons and black cuffs. The ensemble exuded a stylish and unique charm. With his eyes closed, Jirioku approached Iroha and calmly uttered, "I hope I am on time." Iroha reassured him, "You are absolutely punctual, and we can leave immediately." However, just as they were about to depart, a voice called out, "Wait. Wait a moment." It was Ino, rushing towards them. Jirioku turned to her and inquired, "What is it?" Ha, I noticed you were getting custom clothes made with Choji's assistance, using the same material that his family uses for their attire. I thought you might be missing something, so I brought you this," Ino explained breathlessly. She then revealed a black scarf adorned with intricate golden designs. "This black scarf will complement your look perfectly." With a gentle touch, she placed the scarf around Jirioku's neck, further enhancing his already striking appearance. Jirioku looked even more dashing with the addition of the scarf. "Thank you," he expressed gratefully. "Now, I must be on my way." "I don't want to keep everyone waiting," Jirioku remarked, acknowledging the time constraint. Without further delay, Jirioku rejoined Iroha and the rest of the team. "I apologize for the delay," he stated. Iroha simply replied, "Let's go." With those words, Jirioku bid farewell to the familiar surroundings of Konoha village and embarked on his first journey outside its borders. Chapter 24. It had been 2 hours since their departure from Konoha, and now they were merely 50 meters away from the village. Iroha signaled everyone to halt, and with a serious tone, he addressed the group, "Our mission this time is to eliminate the bandits who have taken control of this village. These bandits invaded the village a month ago, resulting in the loss of innocent lives." Upon receiving this distressing news, Konoha decided to take action and resolve this issue. Iroha turned his gaze towards Jirioku and spoke, "Jirioku, this will be your first mission. How would you like to approach this?" Jirioku replied, "If you allow me, I would prefer to handle this task on my own." Upon hearing Jirioku's words, Iroha nodded in agreement. They had been specifically instructed by the Hyuga elder to observe Jirioku closely and assess his true strength. Once Jirioku received affirmation from Iroha, he strode purposefully towards the village. At the entrance gate, 2 men stood guard, their eyes fixated on Jirioku's attire, deducing that he must be a wealthy individual. Fueled by greed, they drew their weapons and launched an assault on Jirioku, aiming to harm and ultimately eliminate him. Unfazed by their aggression, Jirioku calmly unsheathed and then resheathed his sword with fluid motion. In an instant, the severed heads of both guards tumbled to the ground, leaving no trace of their former threat. With an air of composure, Jirioku proceeded to stride into the village. As the villagers caught sight of him, their initial assumptions mirrored those of the guards. However, one keen observer noticed something crucial: Jirioku wore the Konoha forehead protector on his right arm. Reacting swiftly, the observant individual exclaimed, "He is a Konoha ninja." The startling revelation caused the others to examine Jirioku more closely, and soon enough, they too spotted the distinctive ninja forehead protector, confirming he is Konoha ninja. Jirioku came to a halt, and at that moment, the leader of the bandits emerged, laying eyes upon Jirioku. Mockingly, he addressed him, well, a Konoha ninja. Judging by your forehead protector, you're nothing more than a mere genin. Coincidentally, I too am a genin. If we were to fight, I doubt it would end well for you. So, why don't you just..." Before the bandit leader could finish his sentence, his head was suddenly detached from his body, soaring through the air. From behind him, Jirioku's voice rang out, "You talk too much." It was Jirioku himself who had swiftly silenced the bandit leader, severing his head with precision. As the bandits watched, Jirioku suddenly disappeared and swiftly killed their leader. To their amazement, the leader's blood miraculously repelled when it came close to Jirioku, adding an air of mystery to his abilities. "Run! The leader is dead." With these words, the remaining bandits attempted to flee, but there was no escape from Jirioku's relentless pursuit. One by one, they fell to his blade. After 10 minutes, Jirioku stood amidst a sea of lifeless bodies. Remarkably, not a single drop of blood stained his person. He gracefully shook his sword, and the blood coating its blade vanished, leaving behind a seemingly ordinary crutch-like weapon. With a calm demeanor, Jirioku resheathed his sword, concealing its true form once more. Jirioku emerged from the village with a composed demeanor, making his way to where Iroha stood. He reported, "Iroha Jonin, all of the bandits have been eliminated. None of them survived." "Excellent work, Jirioku. We will make sure to include this accomplishment in the mission report," Iroha replied, nodding in approval. "All right, now that the mission is complete, we should make our way back to the village. We still have a few hours before dark, so let's try to reach Konoha before nightfall," stated Iroha. Everyone nodded in agreement, and they departed from the location. Eventually, they arrived back in Konoha. Iroha proceeded to report the mission while the others waited patiently. After approximately 15 minutes, Iroha returned with the mission fees in hand. "Here is your share, Jirioku." "It amounts to 20% of the mission fees," Iroha announced, handing over the payment to Jirioku. Jirioku calmly accepted the money, acknowledging the gesture. "Today, you are all dismissed. You will be informed when we have a new mission," declared Iroha as he left, accompanied by the two other Hyuga clan ninjas. Jirioku also departed and made his way to the Ichiraku ramen shop. Upon arriving at the Ichiraku ramen shop, Jirioku was taken aback by the presence of all the members of the Konoha 12 gathered there. Paying little attention to their presence, Jirioku walked past them with a composed demeanor. However, his path was intercepted by Sasuke, who stood directly in front of him. "Fight me!" Sasuke challenged, determined to test Jirioku's skills. Yet, in a sudden turn of events, Jirioku vanished before Sasuke's eyes, and a voice resonated from behind him, remarking, "You remain as weak as ever." Startled, Sasuke swiftly turned around, only to witness Jirioku calmly entering the Ichiraku ramen shop, seemingly unperturbed by the encounter. Shikamaru, being well aware of Jirioku's capabilities, simply shook his head in a typical nonchalant manner, muttering, "What a drag." With that, he led the rest of the group into the Ichiraku ramen shop. Upon entering, Ino took the initiative, addressing Jirioku, "Since this was your first successful mission, you should throw a party, right?" Jirioku, not inclined to argue, simply nodded in agreement. With everyone's approval, they happily indulged in their meals, relishing the occasion. However, members of the future Team 7 were noticeably absent, having departed earlier. Sasuke left in defeat, trailed by Sakura and Naruto, their efforts focused on pacifying him. Chapter 25. 1 month had passed since Jirioku achieved the rank of Genin, and during this time, they successfully completed a total of 8 missions. Among these missions were 5 C-level and 3 B-level assignments. The members of the Hyuga clan conducted a thorough investigation to assess Jirioku's capabilities, and the results were as follows. Name: Jirioku. Abilities: Master Swordsman, proficient in the 3-body technique, no ninjutsu employed thus far. Strength: equivalent to an elite chunin. After careful consideration, the Hyuga elder concluded that the time had come to take action. Addressing Iroha and the others, he ordered, "Today, we shall dispatch someone to offer a substantial bounty for Jirioku, enough to attract the attention of elite jonin. You will undertake a mission to escort him to the river country. Remember, he must not return alive." "Yes," everyone responded in unison, acknowledging their orders. 2 days later, Iroha approached Jirioku's door and encountered him there. He delivered the news, saying, "We have accepted an A-level mission to escort a team to the river country. Be prepared, as we will depart tomorrow morning without delay." Jirioku nodded, acknowledging Iroha's words, and after relaying the message, he departed. Later that night, there was a knock on Jirioku's door, and he was surprised to find Ino's father standing there. "Mr. Inoichi, why are you here at such a late hour?" Jirioku inquired, his confusion evident. Inoichi replied, "I have come to inform you that a bounty of 15 million has been placed on your head." I strongly advise you to reconsider your plans of leading the village for the time being. Upon hearing Inoichi's warning, Jirioku nodded and replied, I appreciate your concern, but as you mentioned, the bounty on my head will remain until someone removes it. I doubt that will happen, and I can't let fear confine me to the village forever. Understanding Jirioku's perspective, Inoichi nodded and said, in that case, all I can say is take care of yourself. With those parting words, he left. The following morning, Jirioku made his way to the designated meeting place where the caravan was set to depart. Iroha and the rest of his team were already present. Utilizing his keen observation haki, Jirioku sensed the presence of 5 individuals within the caravan, each possessing the strength of at least a chunin. It appears that the Hyuga clan has finally resolved to eliminate me, he thought to himself. However, Jirioku remained composed and unaffected by the situation, knowing that he had nothing to fear. He maintained his calm demeanor, determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Following their departure, Iroha took charge and instructed the team to proceed towards the river country. After a full day of traveling, they arrived at the borders of the country. It was then that Iroha approached Jirioku with a new assignment. Jirioku, I want you to head to the nearest village and gather information. Your blindness will work to our advantage, as no one will suspect you. Investigate the area and ensure that everything is safe, Iroha commanded, assigning Jirioku a crucial task. Upon hearing Iroha's instructions, Jirioku nodded in understanding and headed off in the direction indicated by Iroha. He ventured out, following his senses despite his blindness, determined to fulfill the mission entrusted to him. As Jirioku distanced himself from the group, Iroha turned to one of his subordinates and inquired, has the task been completed? The subordinate responded affirmatively, saying, yes, we have spread the news in the black market that Jirioku can be found in the nearest village from here. Their plan set in motion, the group awaited the outcome, relying on the information they had strategically disseminated. As Jirioku approached the village, utilizing his keen observation haki, he discerned the presence of approximately 30 ninjas who caught his attention. Among them, he identified 6 formidable jonins, while the remaining individuals were skilled chunins. Though there were additional ninjas in the vicinity, they were of genin level, considered inconsequential and no match for him. Fearlessly, Jirioku entered the village, maintaining a careful vigilance, fully aware of the potential abilities possessed by any of the ninjas present. He remained alert, ready to confront any potential threats or unexpected capabilities that might arise. While Jirioku walked, a sudden figure materialized behind him, launching an attack aimed at his back. A sharp kunai blade approached, coming within 2 inches of Jirioku's body. However, to the assailant's bewilderment, their weapon abruptly halted in its trajectory, unable to advance any further. Sensing the confusion, Jirioku wasted no time in providing an explanation. Instead, he swiftly executed a swift and deadly strike with his sword, swiftly killing his attacker with a single slash. Jirioku swiftly shifted his attention to his left side, where a group of 14 ninjas had gathered, representing the maximum number of opponents standing against him. Firmly grasping his sword, he channeled his skill, unleashing the devastating technique known as Gravity Blade Stardust. With a sweeping motion, he sliced through the air, generating a mighty shockwave imbued with an immense gravitational force. The shockwave surged forward, obliterating structures and engulfing the area in destructive chaos. The overwhelming power of the technique resulted in the demise of most of the ninjas, their lives extinguished amid the catastrophic onslaught. The battlefield now bore the scars of Jirioku's unstoppable might. Chapter 26. This move was definitely on par with A-rank ninjutsu, said one of the jonin, swallowing his saliva. Yeah, but according to the information we received, his strength is no more than that of an elite chunin. I'm going to kill the bastard who ever says he is a weak chunin after using such a move. He doesn't even have drops of sweat on his face, said another jonin, with fear clearly visible on his face. Some of them, upon witnessing Jirioku's strength, felt compelled to leave. However, just as they began to retreat, Jirioku positioned himself in their path, blocking their escape. Where do you think you're going? He questioned with an air of challenge. If you seek to claim my head, make certain you're capable of taking it." With those words, he swiftly swung his blade, unleashing a wind-charged slash aimed in their direction. Their immediate response was to evade Jirioka's attack, but as they attempted to move, they noticed a sudden heaviness in their bodies, hindering their agility and preventing swift movement. Consequently, Jirioka's slash mercilessly cleaved 5 ninjas in half horizontally. Witnessing this gruesome scene, another group of ninjas felt a chilling shiver race down their spines. Among the 5 individuals slain, 2 were jonins, and their untimely deaths left the remaining ninjas in shock. Though their instinct urged them to flee, their escape plans were abruptly halted by a voice that pierced through the air. "If you attempt to flee now, you will meet the same fate as them. Your best option is to follow my lead, or else you shall meet your demise." Curiosity piqued, the bounty hunter ninja inquired, "Who are you, and what makes you so confident in your ability to confront that monstrous being?" Upon hearing the bounty hunter's question, the group of 6 ninjas burst into laughter, removing their masks and revealing their faces. The sight left the other ninjas astounded. "You are the renowned Black Hunter group, with each member attaining the rank of Jonin. Your leader's strength rivals that of the Kages from the major villages." Upon hearing these words from the bounty hunter ninja, all 6 members of the group displayed a sense of pride, their faces adorned with smiles. "Now that you're finished indulging in fantasy, allow me to inform you that the leader of your group is nowhere near the level of the Kages from the major villages. At best, you're slightly superior to elite Jonin, but I highly doubt you could emerge victorious against an elite Jonin from a major village," retorted Jirioku. Upon hearing Jirioka's words, the smiles on the faces of the Black Hunter group swiftly transformed into expressions of anger. However, being seasoned professionals in their line of work, they understood the perils of losing their composure during a battle, knowing all too well that such anger could lead to their demise. "Even if what you say holds some truth, it will still be sufficient for us to defeat you," proclaimed their leader, drawing his sword confidently. The leader lunged at Jirioku with his sword, imbued with the wind attribute, proclaiming, "Let me demonstrate true swordsmanship." Jirioku, however, refrained from infusing his sword with any elemental chakra. Instead, he employed armament haki, enveloping his entire blade, easily parrying the leader's attacks without encountering any difficulty. "Your swordsmanship is commendable, but it appears that I made a mistake in anticipating a challenging duel from you," Jirioku remarked. Seizing the opportunity, he swiftly slashed at the leader's exposed vulnerability. However, at the last moment, the leader managed to evade the strike, leaving only his garments cut while his body remained unharmed. Hearing Jirioka's words, the leader's expression changed, prompting him to swiftly retreat from his position. He then unleashed Wind Release spiraling wind ball, hurling it towards Jirioku. However, Jirioku effortlessly evaded the attack, and despite the leader's persistence in releasing the ninjutsu, Jirioku's observation haki enabled him to repeatedly dodge it. Simultaneously, 2 ninjas from the Black Hunter group launched an assault on Jirioku from both sides. In response, Jirioku uttered, "Gravity Pulse," releasing a repulsive force from his position that sent the attacking ninjas hurtling away. Swinging his sword, now infused with armament haki and blessed with wind chakra, Jirioku moved swiftly, making it exceedingly difficult for the members of the Black Hunter group to dodge, but they somehow managed to move away, but the remaining 4 ninjas whom they stopped were swiftly killed on the spot. Jirioku intended to press on with his assault, aiming to eliminate the remaining ninjas from the Black Hunter group. However, their leader intervened, halting Jirioku's advance. Determined to conclude the fight swiftly, Jirioku made a decisive choice. "Gravity X8, he declared. Instantly, an immense gravitational force descended upon the area, causing the leader's movements to become rigid and restricted. Exploiting this opportunity, Jirioku launched a relentless series of attacks against the leader. Although the leader was a seasoned veteran and managed to parry Jirioku's strikes, he was horrified to witness his sword gradually shattering with each clash. After 4 impactful collisions, the leader's sword finally broke, signifying the end of his life. Just as anticipated, his head was separated from his body. The other ninjas from his group attempted to rescue him, but as they approached within a 10-meter range of Jirioku, they too succumbed to the overwhelming gravitational force, becoming trapped. Having killing the leader, Jiraiya showed no mercy to any member of the group, systematically eliminating them one by one until none were left standing. Chapter 27. After killing all the hostile ninjas present here, Jiraiya stood in the middle of corpses with his sword in his hand and covered in blood. He shook his sword to remove the blood from it, and then he sheathed it calmly. Afterward, he turned towards his back and said, "You have been watching for quite a while now. You can come out." As soon as Jiraiya's voice fell, 8 ninjas stood in front of him. These 8 individuals were none other than Iroha and other ninjas from the Hyuga clan. They stood there, looking at Jiraiya with solemn expressions, especially Iroha and his team. They had been with Jiraiya for a whole month but had never witnessed such strength from him. At most, they had assessed his strength to be that of an elite chunin. However, it was evident that his power was enough to defeat someone stronger than an elite jonin, even with his team. They were shocked, unable to utter a word, and Jiraiya didn't force them to speak either. Instead, he asked them one question: "Although I have an idea of who might be behind this, I still want to hear it from you." "Who?" Upon hearing the question, they all remained silent and assumed an attacking stance. "It seems that you don't plan to talk, so be it." After saying that, Jiraiya used gravity field. As soon as Jiraiya executed this technique, everything within a 50-meter radius of his body sank and was crushed. The Hyuga ninjas, who were prepared to fight, suddenly felt the weight of 10 times the gravity on their bodies. Although they had trained in taijutsu and possessed great physical strength, they had never experienced such an extreme amount of gravity and weight. They could barely move. Jiraiya began walking towards them with ease, as if strolling through a garden. He raised his right hand and spoke, "When I was a child, my father taught me how to perform the gentle fist. Of course, I lack eyes, let alone the Byakugan to see the body's acupuncture points. However, I did learn one thing: how to destroy a ninja's internal organs without causing external harm." After hearing Jiraiya's words, every Hyuga ninja was shocked. They knew that Jiraiya's father had died when he was only 1 year old, which meant that he had learned the technique at an incredibly young age. As Jiraiya uttered those words, he infused his right palm with chakra and struck the heart of one of the Hyuga ninjas. Upon impact, the Hyuga ninja vomited blood and died. With no resistance left in his body, he crumbled to the ground under the overwhelming force of gravity. One by one, using a similar technique, Jiraiya employed the gentle fist to target the internal organs of the Hyuga ninjas, ultimately killing them. They wanted to shout, to scream, but the intense gravity left them barely able to resist, rendering them unable to speak. Jiraiya didn't even change his expression and killed all of them, including Iroha, who felt guilt and remorse. Jiraiya could sense these emotions through his observation haki, but as an enemy, he would never show mercy. After eliminating them, he walked to the center of the village and plunged his sword into the ground. He then uttered, "Zero gravity." Suddenly, everything around him began to float, and as he moved, objects continued to hover in the air. Gathering the bodies of the fallen ninjas, he employed storm-style, tornado. A colossal tornado formed, accompanied by thunderous rumbles, pulling everything that floated into its vortex, grinding them as if they were placed in a grinder. Having completed his task, Jiraiya turned around and started walking away. While walking, he spoke, "Be grateful that you didn't show any hostility towards me, or else you would join these deceased individuals." With those words, Jiraiya vanished from the scene. After 15 minutes, the tornado subsided, leaving nothing but dust behind. However, this dust was stained red, as it consisted of soil mixed with the blood of the ninjas who had perished at the hands of Jiraiya. The entire area surrounding the tornado was now covered in this eerie red dust. About 100 meters away from the center of the village, where the tornado had occurred, the ground burst open, and a hand emerged, followed by a person. It was a ninja with white hair, and his left eye was concealed by the forehead protector of Konoha village. It was none other than Copy Ninja Kakashi. Upon emerging, Kakashi observed the devastation at the village center, where everything had been annihilated, and nothing remained except for the haunting sight of the blood-soaked ground. Kakashi gazed in the direction where Jirioku had vanished and murmured, "Even the Hyuga ninjas were unable to detect my presence, yet he was able to sense that I was hiding here." After uttering those words, Kakashi surveyed the entire area, his expression turning solemn. The village lay in ruins, devastated by the recent events. It resembled the aftermath of a small-scale war between two ninja villages. Finding nothing of significance, Kakashi swiftly departed from the scene, heading in the direction of Konoha to report everything that had transpired to the Hokage. Chapter 28. 20 kilometers away from the site of the recent massacre, Jirioku sat beneath a tree, his breath slightly labored. "It seems I pushed myself too far. I can't maintain zero gravity for an extended period, especially when combining it with a ninjutsu like Tornado. The strain on my body is immense. I've already depleted around 70% of my chakra with that technique, and utilizing zero gravity has sapped nearly 60% of my physical strength. If I were to engage in combat with that hidden elite Jonin, I would need to activate the evolving amplifier mark." After resting for a few hours, Jirioku rose from his spot and proceeded in the direction of Konoha. In the evening, Kakashi entered Konoha, his expression solemn, and promptly made his way towards the Hokage's building. Suddenly, a voice rang out, "My eternal rival Kakashi, let's have a race competition between you and me." It was my guy, running towards Kakashi, with Lee following closely behind. "Not now, guy. I have an important matter to report to Hokage-sama," Kakashi replied, his tone serious. He swiftly employed body flicker technique to depart. Perceiving the seriousness in Kakashi's voice, Guy refrained from stopping him. He then turned to Lee and said, "It seems something has happened. I will head to the Hokage's office. You should continue your training as per the instructions I provided." With those words, Guy also set off for the Hokage's office. Inside the Hokage's office, Hiruzen was engaged in a discussion with Shikaku, Inoichi, and other members of the intelligence department. Inoichi appeared dazed, catching Hiruzen's attention. He inquired, "Is there a problem, Inoichi? You seem to have something on your mind." Inoichi snapped out of his reverie and replied, "Huh? Oh, I apologize, Hokage-sama. I was just thinking about the intelligence I received." The mention of intelligence puzzled everyone present. Hiruzen pressed further, asking, "What kind of intelligence are you referring to?" "In the intelligence I received, it is clearly mentioned where and when Jirioku will be. But how could this information be known to the people of the black market? It is only known by the members of his team and—" Inoichi's voice trailed off. Although he didn't continue speaking, everyone present understood that the other members of Jirioku's team belonged to the Hyuga clan, suggesting that the information might have leaked within the clan. "I believe he is being targeted," Inoichi concluded. "Don't worry, Jirioku will be fine. Let's not overthink it, considering there is a team of Hyuga clan members consisting of 1 Jonin and 2 Chunin," reassured Hiruzen. Inoichi wanted to continue speaking but was halted by a glance from Shikaku. Taking the cue from Shikaku's signal, Inoichi refrained from saying more. Just then, a knock was heard at the door of the Hokage's office. "Come in," invited Hiruzen. The gate of the Hokage's office opened, and Kakashi entered followed by Guy. Upon seeing Guy, Kakashi asked him, "Why did you follow me?" With a wide grin, Guy replied, "Observing your serious countenance, I surmised that the village might require my youthful energy, so I decided to join you." Witnessing Guy's typical behavior, Kakashi and the others were not surprised, and they disregarded him. At that moment, Hiruzen spoke up, "You appear to have a serious expression. Has something occurred?" "Yes, when I was returning after completing the A-level mission, I encountered a team of 8 Hyuga ninjas. They seemed to be observing something, so without raising their suspicion, I approached the area they were focusing on. To my surprise, I witnessed a 13 to 14-year-old boy engaging in combat with the black market ninjas. Actually, I wouldn't simply say fighting, he was single-handedly annihilating them. After observing him for a while, I came to the realization that it was Jirioku, the one who was expelled from the Hyuga clan. Kakashi recounted the events to the others. After Kakashi finished describing what had happened, there was a moment of silence. Inoichi stood up and asked, "So, you're saying that Jiraiya single-handedly eliminated the Black Hunter group?" "Yes, I witnessed it firsthand. Taking down the leader alone is something I can do, but defeating the entire team by himself is beyond my capabilities," Kakashi replied. "He's only 10 years old, yet he possesses such incredible strength," Shikaku expressed his astonishment. "Where is he currently?" Hiruzen inquired. "I'm not sure. After killing the Hyuga clan members, he left with a warning, and I didn't want to engage with someone like him," Kakashi explained. "Keep surveillance outside the village, and as soon as Jiraiya appears, inform him to meet me," Hiruzen instructed one of the ANBU members. Hiruzen then turned to Guy and said, "Go and summon the clan head and Hyuga elder to meet with me." With a nod, Guy hurried off to the Hyuga clan to carry out Hiruzen's orders. Just 15 minutes later, Jiraiya arrived in Konoha, and an ANBU ninja appeared before him, saying, "Hokage-sama has summoned you." Jiraiya nodded and made his way towards the Hokage building. Meanwhile, Hayashi and the Hyuga elder also arrived at the Hokage's office after receiving the message from Guy. Chapter 29. Both Hayashi and the Hyuga elder entered the Hokage's office. As soon as they entered, all eyes were on them. Hayashi was confused about why the Hokage had called him, and seeing the behavior of the ninjas only deepened his confusion. Hiruzen asked them to take a seat, and once they were seated, Hayashi asked, "Hokage-sama, is there something the matter? Why have you called us here along with so many members from the intelligence department?" Hiruzen proceeded to explain everything about what had happened during Jiraiya's mission. Hayashi was shocked to hear about the attack on Jiraiya, especially by members of his own Hyuga clan. The Hyuga elder clenched his fist upon hearing what had befallen the Hyuga clan members. He had never expected Jiraiya to possess such strength, and all his calculations against him had failed. Hiruzen continued, saying, "Jiraiya's location and every move were leaked in the black market, which can only be done by someone who has full knowledge of the mission. Among those people, I believe only the team leader, Hyuga Iroha, or high-ranking members of the Hyuga clan would possess such information. So, I would like to ask you, were you involved in this?" Hayashi looked towards the Hyuga elder, knowing that those who attempted to kill Jiraiya were subordinates of his father. It indicated a possible conspiracy involving his father. Though flustered, the Hyuga elder maintained his composure and replied, "These individuals are indeed my subordinates, but I was unaware of their actions, and no one from the Hyuga clan had any knowledge of their involvement. However, based on my assumption, they carried out these acts out of personal revenge and jealousy." "Revenge? Jealousy? Please explain your statement more clearly," requested Hiruzen. The Hyuga elder elaborated, "During their time as Genins, Jiraiya's father always defeated Iroha, which left Iroha feeling humiliated. Even after Iroha's promotion from Genin, he was never able to defeat Jiraiya's father. This constant defeat may have fueled feelings of resentment among others, especially considering their dissatisfaction with Jiraiya escaping the cage bird seal. I suspect Iroha might have influenced them to carry out these actions." After hearing the words of the Hyuga elder, they realized that although there were some loopholes in his explanation, they couldn't refute it. Human nature is complex, and people can commit heinous acts over minor arguments, while also forgiving those who have killed their own relatives. Without any evidence implicating the Hyuga clan members, they couldn't counter the Hyuga elder's statement. At that moment, the door of the Hokage's office swung open, and Jiraiya entered accompanied by an ANBU ninja. He calmly stood before everyone in the room. Jiraiya, you returned from your mission quite swiftly." "Why?" inquired Hiruzen. "Kakashi, the Jonin, must have informed you of everything, as he was there and I spared his life and he stands here in the Hokage's office before me," replied Jiraiya. Upon hearing Jiraiya's words, Hiruzen nodded. "Does this mean you killed all your teammates? Is that true?" "Yes, they attempted to kill me, and in self-defense, I had no choice but to eliminate them," explained Jiraiya. But couldn't you have incapacitated them instead of taking their lives? Perhaps they were under the influence of an illusion, retorted the Hyuga elder in a sharp tone. Firstly, I am blind and unable to see. I could only sense their hostility, and I retaliated accordingly. Secondly, if they were indeed under an illusion, Kakashi, the Jonin, would have intervened to stop me, Jiraiya responded. He then turned towards Kakashi and continued, "Isn't that right, Kakashi, the Jonin?" Upon being questioned by Jiraiya, Kakashi replied, "Yes, they were not under the influence of an illusion. Furthermore, I hold a strong disdain for those who betray their teammates, so I didn't see the need to save them." Alright, since Jiraiya's team members attempted to kill him, and Jiraiya acted in self-defense, he cannot be held responsible. This is my decision. Does anyone disagree? Declared Hiruzen. In response to the Hokage's question, everyone shook their heads, signifying their agreement, and thus Jiraiya was cleared of all charges. Very well, Jiraiya, I will assign you a new team starting tomorrow, stated the Hokage. No need. My strength is evident, and I prefer to work alone. I never join any team, declared Jiraiya firmly. Upon hearing Jiraiya's resolute statement, everyone nodded, acknowledging his exceptional strength that surpassed even that of an elite Jonin. Alright, since everyone from your previous team is deceased, you may work as a solo operative, stated Hiruzen. Thank you, Hokage-sama. If my business here is concluded, I would like to take my leave as I am tired from my journey, humbly requested Jiraiya. Very well, you may go and rest, replied Hiruzen. After that, Jiraiya left the Hokage's office. Jiraiya headed to Ichiraku ramen shop, paying no mind to the discussions that took place in the Hokage's office. Meanwhile, Ino was sitting in the ramen shop with Choji and Shikamaru, thinking about Jiraiya. It had become a daily routine for them to meet there, so his absence felt strange to her. Shikamaru, observing Ino's reaction, shook his head. Suddenly, an idea for a prank came to his mind. He turned his head and said, "Hey Jiraiya, what are you doing here? I thought you were on a mission and wouldn't return so early." Upon hearing Shikamaru's words, Ino immediately jumped from her seat and looked towards the entrance, expecting to see Jiraiya. However, there was no one there. Suddenly, she heard Shikamaru laughing. Her forehead started twitching, and her smile turned dangerous. Seeing this, Shikamaru's laughter quickly shifted from ha-ha-ha to hee-hee. He raised his hand and said, "Just a little joke to lighten the mood." "It seems like you've forgotten about the beating you'll receive," Ino retorted while rubbing her fist. Just then, Jiraiya entered the ramen shop and took an empty seat. He calmly said, "Same as before." "Coming right up," responded Ichiraku, who then left to prepare the food. Chapter 30, Ino turned stiffly and saw Jiraiya sitting quietly, waiting for his ramen to arrive. She approached Jiraiya and rubbed her eyes to confirm if it was really him. Confirming that it was indeed Jiraiya, Ino moved closer to his seat, sat down, and asked, "You returned so quickly. Wasn't it supposed to take 2 more days?" "My mission ended, that's why I returned." "Your father will provide the details," replied Jiraiya. "What will happen if you tell me?" Ino pouted. At that moment, Ichiraku arrived with the ramen. Jiraiya took it and started eating, paying no mind to Ino's chatter. Ino continued talking about what happened at the Ninja Academy and what she did when Jiraiya wasn't around, while Jiraiya simply hummed from time to time. After Jiraiya finished eating, he stood up and started to leave. Ino followed behind him, with Shikamaru and Choji trailing along as well. They walked in silence until Shikamaru broke the silence. "By the way, Jiraiya, how do you feel when you're on a mission?" Shikamaru asked. "For me, a mission is an opportunity to sharpen my skills, the result of all the training I've undergone. Money is also a motivating factor," Jiraiya replied. How does it feel to work with teammates you don't know at all?" Shikamaru continued the conversation. "It's not that difficult. When you work as a team, you eventually get to know your teammates, and through teamwork, you can even become friends," Jiraiya answered. As they continued walking towards Jurioka's house, Jurioka suddenly stopped in his tracks and turned to Ino and the others. "You all should go." "I'll go home alone," Jurioka said. "No matter what you say, I'm going with you," Ino insisted. "Shikamaru, take her and go." "I'm telling you this for the good of all of you," Jurioka said sternly. Upon hearing Jurioka's tone, Shikamaru became alert and pulled out his kunai. "If there's any danger, let us know. We'll face it together." Shaking his head in response to Shikamaru's words, Jurioka signaled to Ino and Choji that there might be some danger, causing them to become vigilant as well. "Show yourself. I know you've been following me since I left Ichiraku Ramen Shop," Jurioka calmly called out. However, no one emerged in response. "It seems you won't reveal yourself like this." Jurioka drew his sword and swung it in one direction, cleanly slicing through a tree. Just as the slash cut through the tree, a ninja jumped out, narrowly avoiding the attack. Another 4 ninjas appeared and surrounded Jurioku and the others. "Jurioku, Danzo-sama wants to see you." "Come with us," said the only jonin in the team. "I don't know anyone named Danzo." "Who is he?" said Jurioku. Shikamaru approached Jurioku and began to explain. "Jurioku, Danzo is." But Jurioku raised his hand, silencing Shikamaru. "Danzo-sama is the true protector of Konoha," said the root ninja. "Are you implying that the Hokage we know is a facade and your Danzo-sama is the real Hokage?" replied Jurioku. The root ninjas hesitated to answer, knowing it could cause trouble for Danzo. "No, we didn't mean that. Come with us. Danzo-sama wants to meet you," insisted the root ninja. "Why do I sense a threat in your voice?" "Are you threatening me?" questioned Jurioku. "If you don't know what's good for you, then we'll have to force you," stated the jonin, and the other root ninjas brandished their weapons, ready to attack Jurioku at any moment. "Seems like you root members have short memories," Jurioku said, gently tapping his sword on the ground. Suddenly, a powerful gravitational force descended upon the root ninjas, causing them to struggle to maintain their footing. With calm determination, Jurioku swiftly ended their lives with a few sword slashes, and the lifeless bodies of the root ninjas fell to the ground, blood seeping from their wounds. Shikamaru tried to remain composed, but Choji and Ino couldn't hold back their nausea and vomited. "This is why I told you to leave," Jurioku stated. "Come with me to Konoha Hospital. You've all been poisoned, not severely, but enough to immobilize you." "What about you?" Shikamaru asked. "I protected myself with chakra, so I wasn't affected," Jurioku replied. "I don't want to carry all of you to Konoha Hospital, so let's hurry." With that, Jurioku carried Ino, while Shikamaru supported Choji, and they made their way to Konoha Hospital. Finally, they arrived at Konoha Hospital, with Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji panting and barely able to stand. Jurioku supported them as he handed them over to the hospital staff, providing their identities for their parents to be notified as soon as possible. After ensuring their well-being, Jurioku left for his home, exhausted and in need of rest. As Jurioku spoke, the Konoha hospital staff informed Shikaku, Inoichi, and Choza about what had happened. As soon as they heard that their children had been admitted to the hospital, they immediately rushed towards Konoha Hospital, accompanied by their wives who had also been notified. Upon reaching the hospital, they were greeted by the pale and weak faces of their children. They quickly approached the medical ninjas, and the person attending to them happened to be the deputy dean of Konoha Hospital, who personally assured them that their children would be fine after a night's rest. Inoichi anxiously asked, "What happened to all of them? Are they all right?" "Yes, they will be completely fine after some rest," reassured the deputy dean. The parents breathed a collective sigh of relief upon hearing her words. Filled with anger, Choza declared, "Whoever did this to them, I won't let them get away with it." "We don't know." Jurioku, who brought them to the hospital, said they would explain everything to their parents, explained the deputy dean. Shikaka turned his gaze towards Shikamaru and asked, "Tell me, what happened?" Taking a moment to catch his breath, Shikamaru replied, "It was Danzo who wanted to speak with Jurioku, but Jurioku refused." Then the root ninjas attacked Juryoku, and he killed them on the spot. The poison they used to incapacitate Juryoku didn't affect him, but since we were with him, it affected us instead and caused our current condition. That's the end of this tale for now. Make sure to check out the Discord linked in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in part 2. Peace.